Tarehe 9 mwezi Novemba mwaka 2023. Popote ulipo mtazamaji, natumai Alhamisi yako imekuendea vema. Hujambo na karibu. Unatazama taarifa zetu za upeo wa TV47. Kuna mengi tu ambayo yamejiri siku hii. Rais William Ruto akitoa hotuba yake kwa Wakenya kuhusiana na utendakazi wake mwaka mmoja baadaye. Sijui iwapo hotuba ya rais iliweza kufikia malengo yako. Sema nasi kupitia mitandao yetu yote ya kijamii. Kwenye mtandao wa Facebook tuko live ni TV47 Kenya, kwenye mtandao wa X ni @TV47 News, na utanipata @Kilemi_Andrin. Lakini kabla hatuja kupasha yaliyojiri, tupate yaliyomo.
Cost of living is not an abstract phenomenon. It is a reality experienced by households.
Rais William Ruto aapa kukabili gharama ya juu ya maisha katika hotuba yake ya kwanza kwa taifa.
It would be, honorable members, remiss of me not to mention the ongoing bipartisan process of national dialogue that has enabled our leaders to find common ground on many of the issues whose resolution will accelerate our transformation.
Rais Ruto apongeza hatua zilizopigwa katika mazungumzo ya maridhiano.
To say that increasing taxes is not the solution to the problem we're having.
Na baadhi ya viongozi wa Azimio wasusia hotuba ya rais, wakimshtumu kwa kuwahadaa wa Kenya. Mtazamaji, imegonga saa 1 kamili saa za Afrika ya Mashariki. Kenya, Uganda na Tanzania, popote ulipo, ninakusabahi na kukukaribisha kwenye taarifa zetu. Asante sana kwa kutuchagua, lakini kubwa zaidi kwa kututeua kama kitovu cha habari za kweli na za kuaminika. Mie ni wako Andrin Kilemi, mwenzangu kwenye lugha ya ishara ni Catherine Simaloi. Rais William Ruto amesema atafanya kila awezalo kuhakikisha kuwa gharama ya maisha inarudi chini. Katika hotuba yake bungeni, kiongozi wa taifa amewataka Wakenya kuwa na subra, akisema kuwa serikali imeweka mikakati kupitia kilimo kuhakikisha kuwa bei ya bidhaa muhimu inarudi chini.
Cost of living is not an abstract phenomenon. It is a reality experienced by households, which can be addressed through practical action and effective measures. One of the most salient interventions in addressing the high cost of living is the strategy to support agricultural production throughout the sector, ranging from food and cash crops as well as livestock value chains. I am committed to put the shame of hunger behind us once and for all. We rolled out a countrywide farmer registration and fertilizer subsidy program that has made available 5.5 million bags to farmers across Kenya. We have progressively reduced the cost of fertilizer from 6,500 to 2,500, increased maize acreage under production by an extra 200,000 acres this year, and enhanced maize production by an additional 18 million bags this year. Of these interventions, today, a 2-kilogram packet of maize flour is selling at a low of 145 and a high of 175, depending on the brand you.
Kadhalika, Rais William Ruto amepongeza mazungumzo ya maridhiano yanayoendelea kati ya Kenya Kwanza na muungano wa Azimio, akisema mazungumzo hayo yataunganisha taifa. Rais Ruto vilevile akiwatambua wenye viti wenza Kalonzo Musyoka na Kimani Ichung'wah, na kama ishara ya hatua ambazo pande zote mbili zimepiga hatua. Kalonzo alikuwa bungeni kusikiliza hotuba ya rais.
It would be, honorable members, remiss of me not to mention the ongoing bipartisan process of national dialogue that has enabled our leaders to find common ground on many of the issues whose resolution will accelerate our transformation, deepen our democracy, and enhance national unity. Specifically, I thank the two co-chairs, my good brother, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, our former president, and the leader of majority in the House, Kimani Ichung'wah, for doing a wonderful job. Congratulations, gentlemen. I salute the courage and patriotism of my fellow leaders who have embraced national dialogue and engage and encourage all of us to keep up the noble work of bringing Kenyans together. There is so much to report about the progress we have made in serving the people of Kenya.
Na katika hotuba yake kwa wabunge, Rais Ruto ametoa hakikisho kuwa operesheni Maliza Uhalifu inayoendeshwa katika kaunti 6 eneo la kaskazini mwa bonde la Ufa itaendelea. Serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ikinuia kumaliza wizi wa mifugo, swala ambalo limekuwa donda sugu kwa wakazi wa eneo hilo. Rais Ruto pia akisisitiza kuwa serikali yake imetilia maanani usalama wa taifa kwa kuweka mipango kabambe inayotekelezwa na wizara za usalama wa ndani na ulinzi.
The security and safety of all citizens is our foremost commitment and most fundamental obligation, without which every other endeavor is not possible. The reason why Kenya has continued on the path of steady progress is that we have maintained stability, peace and security by affirming our territorial integrity and maintaining internal tranquility. This is not to say our country has not had its share of security challenges. The specter of terrorism is a continuing threat that we must remain constantly vigilant against. Pockets of banditry, cattle rustling, and armed lawlessness have besieged and devastated communities in the North Rift, Northeastern, and occasionally parts of Eastern and the coast regions. We all know that insecurity disrupts lives and destroys livelihoods. Our country has lost too many people to this menace. Many children have been orphaned and missed school, and many families have been displaced because of lawless men taking up illegal arms and waging war against communities. The government exists to ensure that those who challenge our sovereignty, territorial integrity, national security, and the safety of the people of Kenya are expeditiously countered and rendered harmless. We have therefore taken firm and decisive measures to deal with the challenge of banditry, armed crime, cattle rustling, and other forms of impunity in all parts of the country, beginning with a successful security operation to restore calm in the North Rift. We have been systematic, focused, thorough, unrelenting, and totally committed to removing for good all threats to lives and livelihoods of Kenyans. I know there are pushbacks from the criminals, but I want to assure the honorable members of this House that we will be unrelenting, and until it is done, it is not done.
Suluhisho ya kudorora kwa hali ya uchumi sio kuongeza ushuru, ndiyo kauli ya kinara wa Azimio Raila Odinga, huku akitaka serikali kuangazia kupunguza matumizi yake na kukomesha ubadhirifu wa fedha za umma nchini. Raila, ambaye alikosa kufika bungeni katika hotuba ya rais, ameitaka serikali kukoma kuwaongezea Wakenya mzigo wa kuwatoza ushuru, kwani tayari baadhi hawawezi kujikimu kimaisha. Paul Muniu na uketo wa taarifa hiyo.
With regard to this animal called the cost of living.
Katika kauli yake ya leo, kiongozi wa muungano wa Azimio Raila Odinga kwa mara nyingine amekosoa hatua hizo za serikali, akidokeza kuwa hatua mbadala ni kupunguza matumizi ya serikali na kukabiliana na ubadhirifu wa fedha za umma nchini.
Increasing taxes is not the solution to the problem we're having. If you increase the taxes, there's always a tendency to evade. People, for example, are not paying. You've increased the tax on fuel. Many people are not driving.
Odinga akirejelea serikali ya hayati Rais Mwai Kibaki jinsi alivyokabiliana na hali ngumu ya uchumi na kulikomboa taifa.
But you cannot do it if you've got mediocrity and the kind of rogues and thieves running our affairs. These thieves will take us nowhere. The cost of living, which Jim is talking about here, will not go down when these thieves are in charge.
Kinara huyo wa Azimio amedokeza kuwa maandamano ya kuishinikiza serikali kupunguza gharama ya maisha yalikashifiwa, huku serikali ikidai kuwa yalikuwa yanachochea uharibifu wa biashara, ilhali alitaka kuyatetea maslahi ya Wakenya.
No, their businesses are being destroyed not by demonstrations but through taxation. Leo wanakuja wanasema baba yuko wapi? Na baba ako kimya. He's not talking.
And some of them from the Kenya Kwanza counties were saying quite loudly that if there was maandamano now, then the hottest places would be the Kenya Kwanza areas.
Haya yanajiri huku gharama ya maisha ikiongezeka, baadhi ya Wakenya wakishindwa kumudu. Kinara wa muungano wa Azimio alizungumza alipoandaa mkutano na vuguvugu la wanafunzi jijini Nairobi. Paul Muniu, TV47.
Asante sana Paul Muniu kwa taarifa hiyo. Na baadhi ya wakazi wa kaunti ya Meru wanaendelea kusherehekea ushindi wa Gavana Kawira Mwangaza baada ya Seneti kufutilia mbali madai dhidi yake. Bunge la kaunti ya Meru lilimtimua Gavana Kawira ofisini likimshtumu kwa madai 7 ikiwemo utumizi mbaya wa ofisi, na kama anavyoarifu mwanahabari wetu John Java Kiania ni kwamba Gavana Kawira ameapa kuwaunganisha viongozi wa kaunti ya Meru na kuwatumikia vilivyo wakazi wa kaunti hiyo.
Gavana Mwangaza alikabiliwa na mashtaka ya ubadhilifu na matumizi mabaya ya rasilimali, upendeleo, uonevu, uteuzi usio halali, kudhalilisha mahakama na kuipa barabara jina la mumewe kinyume cha sheria.
Why don't we as a house invoke Article 192 of the Constitution and just ask the people of Meru that they have a fresh start, that you send all these people packing and have the county dissolved.
Gavana Mwangaza alikanusha mashtaka yote na kudai kuwa alidhalilishwa kama kiongozi wa jinsia ya kike na bunge la kaunti ya Meru. Katika mawasilisho yake ya mwisho, Gavana Mwangaza alitoa wito kwa maseneta kumwepushia mashtaka hayo, akitaja matatizo yake yamechochewa na baadhi ya viongozi, huku akieleza matumaini yake ya kuunganisha viongozi wote wa Meru.
I was elected as an independent governor. I know I need MCS. I've tried my best and I shall still continue trying my best to see that I work with everyone.
Maseneta walielezea hisia mseto licha ya kumtetea Gavana Mwangaza.
I want to encourage the citizens of Meru to call for a suspension of the county government, to send Governor Kawira Mwangaza back to the people and to send the MCS back to the people.
Someone who calls himself a honorable member, walking across the streets of a civilized nation, what we call civilized, and saying that certain weapons or certain tools should be used to be able to punish a woman. It's uncouth and uncivilized.
There is no way that 59 MCS can be law or manned that impeached the governor for the third time. The MCS have issues that they have raised in their petition.
Wakazi wa kaunti ya Meru walikuwa na haya ya kusema kuhusu uamuzi wa Seneti.
Gavana wetu ajaribu kwa vyovyote vile kuita viongozi wa Meru, hata kuanzia hao MP, hata kama ni wa national government, waketi chini, waongee, wasuluhishe ile shida iko.
Miongoni mwa waliosherehekea ushindi wake ni waziri wa utumishi wa umma Moses Kuria, ambaye alijipata matatani baada ya kutoa maoni yake kuhusu kesi ya kuondolewa mashtaka katika Seneti. John Java Kiania, TV47.
Na baada ya mchakato wa kumbandua gavana wa Meru Kawira Mwangaza kufeli, magavana sasa huenda wakafanyia sheria mabadiliko ili kuwapa mtihani mkubwa wanaolenga kuwabandua ofisini. Na kama Paul Kirobi anavyoarifu, huenda ikawa kibarua kumbandua gavana ofisini katika siku za usoni, kwani viongozi hao wa kaunti wanapendekeza mchakato wa kuwabandua ni sharti uanze miaka kadhaa baada yao kuchaguliwa.
Baada ya gavana wa Meru Kawira Mwangaza kuepuka shoka la wawakilishi wadi kwa mara ya pili, hatua hii huenda ikafungua jicho baraza la magavana kufanya mabadiliko katika sheria ili kufanya iwe vigumu gavana wa kaunti kubanduliwa kwa misingi ya masuala yasiyo na uzito wowote. Lakini hili litaafikiwa vipi? Wakili Peter Kimani amesema kwamba baraza la magavana linaweza kuhakikisha kwamba magavana wanahudumu kwa miaka kadhaa kabla ya mchakato wa kubanduliwa kwao kuanza.
To the parliamentary level, then at that time when it's coming to law, the law imposes an obligation to the president to assent that bill into law by form of signature. And also if it goes through the popular way, then the president actually has to he cannot actually be a pioneer, because that also was one of the issues that the BBI took, whether the president could initiate those constitutional amendments.
Baraza la magavana mwezi Oktoba likiongozwa na mwenyekiti wake Anne Waiguru lilipendekeza kwamba litaanza mchakato wa kufanyia katiba marekebisho ili kuepuka siasa kati yao na wapinzani wao. Katika kikao cha bunge la seneti jana, gavana Kawira Mwangaza akijitetea alisema kwamba njama ya kubanduliwa kwake madarakani imekuwa ikipangwa na baadhi ya wabunge na seneta wa kaunti hiyo. Wakazi wa kaunti ya Meru wameshutumu viongozi wanaojaribu kuhujumu utendakazi wa gavana Mwangaza.
Ilikuwa a sad moment, a very sad moment kuona leaders wetu ambao tumetambua, wenye tumeheshimu. Jana videos zao zinachezwa hapo kwa Senate wakiongea vitu zingine hata hatuwezi rudia, vitu zingine hatuwezi imagine.
Haikuwa maneno ambayo iko na misingi yoyote ile. So mimi nataka kwanza nishukuru Senate sana maanake walipokagua kila kitu waliona ya kwamba gavana tu anafinyiliwa, kwa sababu ni mama anafinyiliwa.
Ikizingatiwa kwamba gavana Mwangaza alichaguliwa kama mgombea huru, atakumbwa na misukosuko ya siasa.
Because the political party fights on your behalf, it insulates you from certain issues, and among them impeachment. And therefore, by the mere fact that she's there alone, her only recourse is the rule of law. But you need more than the rule of law to lead people. Sometimes you just need good relationships with the people.
Gavana wa Meru Kawira Mwangaza ni wa pili sasa kuepuka shoka la seneti katika jitihada za kubanduliwa madarakani. Gavana wa Kirinyaga pia Anne Waiguru aliepuka shoka hiyo mara mbili. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Asante sana Paul Kirobi kwa taarifa hiyo. Mtazamaji, 15 dakika zimekatika baada ya saa 1 kamili saa za Afrika ya Mashariki. Tunaelekea madukani, lakini salia papo hapo. Tukirejea tunarejea na taarifa zaidi.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Toka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana. Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
you respect people.
Dari ya mfahamu kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Muchuku.
Kwa mirindimo kemkem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu.
Unazidi kufuatilia taarifa hizi za upeo wa TV47. Karibu tena mtazamaji, nizidi kukutaarifu. Athari za mafuriko zinaendelea kushuhudiwa huku idadi ya waliofariki katika eneo la kaskazini mashariki ikifikia 14. Kando na hayo, miundo msingi zimeharibiwa na maji na wakazi wakilazimika kuhama na sasa wanalalamikia ukosefu wa chakula. Sheila Chelangat anatupa taswira kamili ya hali ilivyo.
Athari ya mvua kubwa inayoshuhudiwa katika maeneo mengi nchini inazidi kuwakumba wengi. Mafuriko haya yakiharibu miundo msingi katika maeneo haya. Katika kaunti ya Tana River, hii ndio hali ya barabara hii ya Garissa Modogashe, ambayo kwa sasa imesitisha usafiri. Nuria, mama wa watoto watatu, alikuwa akisafiri kutoka Nairobi kuelekea Wajir, ila kulingana na hali ilivyo amelazimika kulala barabarani wakingoja maji haya yapungue.
Mzigo sasa tutapeleka wapi? Mzigo ndio inaharibikia hapa na tunaenda Wajir, kutoka hapa tena mpaka Wajir. Barabara imekatika kila mahali. Sasa tujue tuenda wapi.
Kufikia sasa, idadi ya waliofariki kufuatia mafuriko haya katika ukanda huu wa kaskazini mashariki sasa imegonga 14.
We have about 30,000 people, over 30,000 people displaced by the floods, both in Garissa, Wajir and Mandera.
Hali katika kaunti za Wajir na Mandera ikizidi kudorora, wengi wa wakazi hapa wakikosa kupokea msaada kufuatia hali mbovu ya barabara eneo hili.
Kutulo to Buna you cannot access Wajir, from Wajir you cannot access Buna. So these areas are totally affected.
Katika kaunti ya Tana River, wengi wa wakazi wamelazimika kuhama makwao na sasa wanakodolea macho njaa. Katika kambi hii ya madogo iliyo na familia zaidi ya 300, kina mama wajawazito na hata watoto wanalazimika kulala njaa. Wanasema hawajapata chakula kwa siku 3 sasa.
Watoto sasa hivi wako tangu asubuhi hata hawajaweka kitu chakula kwa mdomo. Tunaomba serikali kuu, serikali ya kaunti ituangalie, tuko na shida. Watu angalie vile tutapata chakula.
Kulingana na shirika la Msalaba Mwekundu, hali hii inatazamiwa kudorora zaidi, wakiitaka serikali kutafuta suluhu la haraka. Sheila Chelangat, runinga ya TV47.
Na hisia mseto zimeibuka kuhusiana na hotuba ya Rais William Ruto bungeni, viongozi wanaoegemea mrengo wa Kenya Kwanza wakisisitiza kuwa rais ameweka bayana jinsi alivyoshughulikia swala tata la gharama ya maisha na pia bei ya juu ya mafuta. Upande wa Azimio umemsuta rais kwa kile wamesema ni kukosa kuwajibikia maswala hayo muhimu.
I want to see prices coming down, and if they come down, I'll actually ask all of us to go to Tanzania, because I don't believe that is going to be the case unless they can be able to extract their own oil. But if you're talking about global prices, now there has been the issue of why Tanzania appears to be slightly cheaper. This is because of the adjustment of the Kenyan shilling, where we have stopped this artificial propping up of the shilling. And the new governor of Central Bank, I want to congratulate him, because he has allowed the shilling to float freely. And this has actually seen a 20% depreciation of the Kenyan shilling against the Tanzanian shilling. Now we are at more realistic levels.
Prices is not a factor that the president can wake up and say we are going to change, because those are external factors. The question is, what is he doing locally to be able to cushion the Kenyans from the high cost of living? The president was very categorical that we are not, and it was part of our campaign manifesto. If people are very clear that we are not going to continue subsidizing consumption, we will subsidize production. And that's why farmers are being supported, fishermen and fishmongers are being supported. We are supporting livestock farmers. We are dealing with, because if you go for farmers, you've gone for mama mboga. You are able then to reduce the cost of living, because you do two things. One, you make them produce at a low cost. They produce more. They make more money because they are producing more. But at the same time, they have increased the production in the country, meaning that you reduce the cost of food. And that is exactly what's happening.
Above the roof, very few Kenyans can afford even to feed their families. And yet we are talking about improved economy. If you look at cost of fuel, it's even going up. Our neighbor here, Tanzania, they are lowering. The president did not talk meaningfully what he wants to do to lower cost of living. If you talk of agriculture, he's always talking about subsidized fertilizers. What about areas which do not need fertilizers? We expected him to talk of irrigated agriculture, construction of big dams, and the channeling water from flowing river sources to those dams, like the way Ethiopia did. That did not come.
Hitimishia taarifa zetu za upeo wa TV47 Alhamisi ya leo. Asante sana kwa wote waliofanikisha taarifa hizi. Shukrani kwako mtazamaji kwa kutegea runinga hii ya TV47. Nimekuwa wako Andrin Kilemi, mwenzangu kwenye lugha ya ishara ni Catherine Simaloi. Kwa heri kwa sasa.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
kutoka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Bila shaka hii leo katika Mfahamu Kiongozi, kama kawaida na kukaribisha kutoka kaunti ya Kilifi, ambapo nitakuwa nikizungumza story na historia ya kinaibu wa gavana kaunti hii ya Kilifi, anafahamika kama Flora Chibule. Aniambia alianzia wapi, life ilikuwa namna gani, miongoni mwa mambo mengine. Mimi kama tupo sawa. Hi Mosh. How are you? Happy to see you. Happy to see you. Umekuaje?
Tuko salama.
Unaendelea tu kung'ara. Unaendelea tu kung'ara.
Kilifi mvua ipo. Joto kidogo.
El Nino imewapata?
El Nino bado. Mwanzo tusema ni El Nino ya joto ama ni ya mvua?
Ni joto tu ndio imeongezeka.
Joto limeongezeka.
All right, that is very good. Huko ndo nyumbani? Asante pia.
Jisikie Kilifi.
Asante. Umekuaje?
Tuendelea vizuri, tunashukuru. Maendeleo ya kawaida.
Kazi iko fiti.
Sisi tunasema madamu watu wa Kilifi wametuchagua, wote tufanye mabadiliko.
Ni kupiga job.
Kupiga job, tuhakikishe kila mtu yuko hands on.
Thank you for giving me opportunity nisikie story na historia. Taanza kwa kuuliza hili, ulizaliwa wapi?
Mimi nimezaliwa Mombasa. Yes.
Mombasa County.
Mombasa County. Wakati huo mzee wangu Daktari Chibuli Watsuma alikuwa a medical doctor pale Mombasa. Sasa mama lazima afatane na mzee. So akapata uchungu wangu akiwa yuko pale Coast General Hospital wakati huo. Kwa hivyo mimi mtoto huyu akirabai akazaliwa pale.
Ukazaliwa Rabai. Katika familia watu wangapi hivi?
Sasa mimi tumeajaliwa kwamba tuko watoto 5. Kijana mmoja ambaye ndio wa kwanza, alafu ndugu 4 wasichana. I'm the last born. Mimi ndio kitinda mimba.
Last born problems. Life ilikuwa namna gani? I know last borns huwa wanapata maisha yamepambwa. Kwako ilikuwa namna gani?
Okay, it was rosy for me. Wajua how last born it is. Yani una wakubwa zako. Ni ile tu kutumwa, do this, do that. But njia yangu ilikuwa kwa imenyoka. Because nitasema wale ndugu zangu, they were a sister keeper. So mara nyingi katika njia zangu za kukua kwangu shule, I'll always have siblings ahead. Si primary, nina ndugu zangu ambao wako mbele yangu. Secondary, we happened kwa na dadangu tukaenda shule moja. So nimekuwa niko na mtu hapo.
Ulikuwa mtu anakuangalia na anakulinda. Ukasoma shule gani?
Sasa mimi shule ya msingi nilikuwa pale Mombasa Primary. Alafu nikabatika nikaenda shule ya Matuga Girls High School. Iko Kwale. Lakini pia kwa sababu ya huduma za baba, he's a medical doctor, mara yuko huku mara yuko huku, nikaona wacha nirudi kwetu Kilifi. So nika nikaenda Dr. Craft Memorial Secondary School iko pale Rabai. Hapo ndipo nimaliza form 4 yangu. Yes.
Kumaanisha kwamba umesoma hizo counties zote 3 za pwani.
Primary ni Mombasa, part of secondary was in Kwale, then kamalizia Kilifi.
Life kwa high school ilikuwa namna gani kwako?
Kwangu it was very exciting. Mimi nilikuwa ni mwanafunzi ambaye niko kila mahali. I had a passion of art. In fact, one of my sister alipokuwa yuendelea na mambo yake ya usanaa, nikapenda. Kwa hivyo nitasema uchoraji wangu uko, it's more of inborn na pia practice. So nikapenda sana mambo ya sanaa. So all around me it's art. Art in everything.
Maanisha nikikupa kitu uchore huko
nipo sawa. Na rangi. I love colors and I also love drawings using pencil. Alafu pia zaidi nilikuwa pia napenda michezo. Nilikuwa nikicheza mpira wa vikapu. Napenda sana cheerleading. Sinajua tena mambo ya boarding. Kelele, lazima wewe mambo ya drama. You know, oratory skills, ile kuwa na poems, you know, za Kiswahili, za Kizungu. So nilifanya sana. Yani my life mimi ilikuwa ni kule nitakoingia tunaenda paka nationals. So I really loved hayo mambo ya competition.
What are some of the memories you have kutoka high school?
Well, mwanzo kutoka high school na paka college, because partly niko pale TUM, then Mombasa Polytechnic. Nimefanya hizi classes tuseme kama ni mambo mengi, manake si plays, si poems za Kizungu, za Kiswahili, si dances, mwanzo dances paka nationals. You see, so ni vile tu tukiwa kule challenge ni kubwa. Mara nyingi pwani ikikutana na maeneo kama Western wanakuja na vitisho vyao. Lakini tuseme ile ambayo tuliobobea mpaka tukashinda kabisa ni play. It was a Kiswahili play. But ideally pia mtoto wa pwani kutoka pwani kwenda national, that was an achievement.
Yes. Yeah.
To us it was an achievement. Wakati huo. We are talking of around 95, from 92, 95, 96.
Na ikilinganishwa kwamba wakati huo masomo pia katika eneo la pwani.
Exactly, vile mambo yalivyo. Alafu pia of course in a setup like that kuna mambo yale ya CU niko kunapenda sana. Napenda sana na nilikuwa a very staunch member.
Wasiyu hicho ndicho kitu kilikukeep. Kila mtoto ana ndoto. Nakumbuka umetoka familia ambayo baba ni daktari. Wewe ndoto yako ilikuwa gani?
Wakati huo nilikuwa nataka kuwa marketer. Napenda kuzungumza. I used to yani nina kipaji cha kuzungumzia kitu kikanunuliwa. Nakumbuka wakati ule kulikuwa kuna hii farm inaitwa Oriflame. So nilipoingizwa katika hiyo farm, vile mambo ya vipodozi na nini, nilikuwa katika hiyo, so jua mambo ya pyramid scheme and everything. So I had a passion of just selling products. Manake kabla kuwa mahali nilipo, nilifanya mambo ya marketing. So nilipenda sana marketing. Mimi ndoto yangu nilijua tu mimi nitakuwa marketer katika sales in business.
That means Kilifi iko na mtu mwenye anayuza kiukweli. Ukamaliza high school?
Nikamaliza high school vizuri. Nikaingia mambo ya marketing, nikafanya kazi. Lakini hapo katikati things didn't go the way I want.
What happened?
When I now met Mr. when I changed my name. So now we were missing. Yes. Then we were found. Yes. So when I was found, I had to change my career.
When were you found? When were you found?
I was found at an early age of around 23.
Ukiwa ndo umeingia university ama college?
Hapo nishamaliza college. Hapo nishamaliza college. Niliingia pale Shanzo Teachers Training College. Mwanzo nilianza Mombasa Polytechnic. Nataka kukuambia mimi kwa sababu ya baba, most of the time when wafanyakazi wake wakienda leave, he used to take us to kusaidia. So nikaona pana gap kwa hospitali yake, palikuwa hakuna medical laboratory expert. So mimi immediately nilipomaliza form 4 nilifanya medical laboratory pale TUM, that then was called Mombasa Polytechnic. So I used to work with yule alokuwa akifanya hiyo kazi pale. So when he was away on leave, I used to step in. But then I realized that is not what I really wanted.
You're doing it for the sake of
I'm doing for the sake of my dad. You can imagine, all specimen are infected. Otherwise, from my test, niseme they are not. Nikasema, surely, is that something I really love to do? Nikasema, no, I don't see myself in that perspective. So hapo ndio nikafunguka, nikaingia walimu. Yes. Yes.
Na hapo ndio mlikutana na Mr. Right.
Hapo ndio nikakutana na Mr. Right. Akinipata mwanzo, kabla sijaingia walimu, ndio nikafanya mambo ya sales and marketing. My dear, my
you
life,
had to pursue your dream.
I had to pursue my dream. Kaamba, kwani wewe wataka nini mami, wataka nini? Kaambia mimi nataka mambo ya sales and marketing. Haya, nikafanya a diploma in sales and marketing and mwanzo sales management and marketing. Nikafanya na nikaanza kazi. Kazi wakati huo ni nyingi. I remember back in the days, hii brand ya nywele inaitwa Dark and Lovely. Wakati huo hizo products we get them from South Africa. But nikawa na shirika moja linaitwa Trade Makers. We used to take those products plus others tukizidistribute. So I was working with salons, I was working with these big entities.
Your dream yourself,
beauty. Yes, hizi beauty shops. So mi kazi yangu kwa ni kuuza hizo products. Nikaanza Mombasa, nikaenda to Kilifi. That's how I dominated Kilifi. Kilifi kwako bado hizo products
hazijaingia vizuri.
So nikaziingiza, nikaenda mpaka Mwamroi, Malindi, kote huko. So nilifanya hiyo kazi for like 3 years. Hapo ndo nikapata Mr. Right.
Mr. Right mlipata nani?
Tunajua sisi tunapenda sherehe, party kiasi. So there was this cousin of mine, ametualika birthday. So I'm going to my cousin's birthday. Na yeye wakati huo yafanya kazi na my Mr. Right. Wakati huo both accountants. So tukiwa pale, kumbe huyo Mr. Right naye ni mjanja.
Alishakuona.
Akaulizia my background. So you know, being the last born, my sisters, my brother have friends.
Yes.
So katika ile hali na waserve, I remember I had a bowl of popcorns. Aniuliza, anaita kwa jina, Mbetsa hujambo? Dadako Mary aendelea vipi? So akataja, nikasema huyu must be one of my siblings friend. So nikampatia ule karibu na attention, nikazungumza na yeye. Wewe kumbe ndo anitia box.
Na ukaingia box.
From there we started our first date, hivyo. Basi ikaendelea mpaka
mkafunga ndoa lini?
Mpaka tukafunga ndoa 5 years later. Yani tuseme after kama tulijuana hapo, tukijuana bado hajanigeuza. Sasa kitambo sasa nijue yuko serious. Ndio sasa nikaona huyo hataki mambo yangu ya kwenda nje sana. Because now sometimes with sales and marketing,
yes, mtaenda mbali.
You have to stay. Yes. So nikaona tuacha, let me settle. Now I've become a family woman. Let me now just settle to teaching.
Change career.
Change career. Nikasema acha nianze kusomea teaching course. Nikaenda pale Shanzu Teachers Training College. Na nikashangaa kwa kile kipaji changu cha art wakati huo. Nikakipenda na katika hayo masomo ambayo nilipita vizuri. And somehow nimekuja kupenda walimu
more than
anything mpaka sasa hivi ninavyokuambia Liz. Nina experience ya kuwa mwalimu over 15 years. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. 15 years.
For the last 15 plus years nimekuwa mwalimu.
Maanisha watoto wako wote umewapata ukifanya hii kazi?
Sasa watoto wangu wote 3. Mimi ni mama watoto 3. Wote nina wasichana 2 na mvulana 1. Yes. Ya ambao wao wakizaliwa najua mama yao ni mwalimu.
Hawakujua hiyo history.
Hawajui hayo mengine. Hiyo ni history. Hiyo nilikuwa najulikana nayo kabla sijaanza kupata watoto.
Umefunza shule kama ngapi?
Nilianza shule yangu ya kwanza ilikuwa ni Ikra Academy. alafu nikafanya hapo kama mwaka mmoja, nikaenda shule inaitwa JCC Education Complex ile ya Pastalai wakati huo, nikafanya hapo kama 2 terms. From there nikapata hizi shule za private bado, lakini zile corporate owned. Nikaingia shule inaitwa Oshol Academy Mombasa. So there I was there for 12 years.
Oshol Academy.
In Oshol Academy Mombasa.
12 good years.
12 good years.
Uliamulia wapi hii story ya siasa? Manake you loved so much teaching. What changed?
Okay. So all my life nikiangalia kukua kwangu nimepewa leadership positions. You know, sometimes
and you are not taking your juice.
Saa zingine tunapuuza, tunasema prefect ni nini, but sometimes hizo ndo njia za kukufanya wewe uingie nguvu.
Huo ndo msingi.
Huo ndo msingi. Nikawa head girl nikiwa secondary.
Yes.
Alafu nikifanya my university sasa. Nilipomaliza tu Shanzo I enrolled kufanya my degree. Nilifanya MKU na kule nakumbuka wanafunzi wenzangu wanasema wewe mbona unakaa kama leadership, you know, I used to take a forefront
katika masuala
mambo mengi katika presentation. Mumefanya group work pamoja, wakati wa kupresent unapa Flora wewe present. So most of the time in those groups I used to be the president. Wewe ndio unavyokuona wewe utakuja kwa women rep. Wako wakinitamkia hivyo. Yasemo hayo women rep, sikudhani itakuja this fast. Lakini nitasema Mungu pia alikuwa kuna sababu na maisha yetu, because nimetoka katika familia ambayo baba alikuwa mwanasiasa. Much as he was a medical doctor,
alipenda
siasa. Nataka kusema kwamba Daktari Chibuli Watsuma alisimamia ubunge 2 terms enzi za Moi. Na wakati huo alipita vizuri, akatumikia umma, akajaribu kuwa rais. Ndoto yake kapanuka. Nafikiri wakati ule wa multi party he was also amongst wale waliovai for presidency. So he was among the minor 4, but the first in the minor 4s. Yeah. Hata wakati mambo ya ugatuzi ilipoanza alijaribu kusimamia governor na Joho, lakini alikuwa watatu. So mimi kama msichana mdogo, wakati especially the second term as mbunge in 86 hapo, nilikuwa kunaona nyumba yetu sisi, maisha yetu imekuwa hatuishi as a nuclear family. Ni nyumba ambayo inakaribisha wageni. And I could see na tukua sisi kama watoto tunatumwa kufanya hivi na hivi. So tumekuwa katika forefront kupeana flyers, tutatumwa tupeane flyers, sisi interacting with people, you know. Alikokuwa na mzee mwenye moyo wa kufunguka. Maana I remember hata nikiwa katika kliniki yake, watu wengine wanakuja kutibiwa, lakini si kwamba wana malipo. It's a way of giving back to his people. So katika hiyo, hata yeye mwenyewe kwa mara nyingi, by the way my dad is a very big influence in our lives. Mwanzo kwa upande wa education, alikuwa akipenda kuzungumza, I want you people to wake up. I want one of you to come after me. So tutasema mimi na dadangu ambao tulienda katika line ya walimu. Yeye now she's a pastor. She's a pastor's wife, but also pastoring in Redeemed Gospel Church. You know, when you're a pastor, unahudumia watu, it's like a politician.
Yeah.
You look at the Bible, Liz. Bible is politics. Yes. Because ukiangalia story ya Yesu na mambo kama hii, alikuwa navuta. Hiyo ni ndo what politicians we do. So hii nafasi ilipokuja, sasa mimi si kwamba siko kanisani, lakini not at the capacity of kwa mchungaji. When it came, alafu of course my life I nahudumia watoto kwa miaka mingi. So no, kuna the teacher, the pupil. But you know, in international schools you are more of a facilitator. And I used to teach this subject called fine art. So most of the time ni technical skills. Unafanya, so ni kitu ambacho nimezoea kuwa na watu, umati wa watu, kuzungumza na watu. Nikiwa shuleni nilikuwa nikisimamia vitengo vingi, assemblies, clubs, hizi house meets. So nimekuwa katika nafasi ya
leadership at that capacity. But little did I know nitakuja kuwa.
Lijipataje kwa hii nafasi yenye huko? Ningependa kusikia hiyo bit. Ningependa kusikia ilianzia.
Sasa ugatuzi ulianza vizuri. So mstahiki gavana wetu Gideon Maitha Mng'aro katika quest yake ya pili sasa ya kutaka kuwa gavana, akasema wacha ageuze michoro yake. Katika hali ya kugeuza michoro akasema I want a woman,
isiwe
woman leader. Akatoa specifications zake. So akawa na jopo lake yeye atafute hizi specifications. Wajua, wacha tuambiane ukweli ni kwamba hapa Kilifi it's a cosmopolitan, but ni wenyeji wa Kilifi ni zile kabila 7 za Kimijikenda. Mijikenda ni miji 9. Miji hiyo miwili iko Kwale County ambao ni Digo na Duruma. Alafu hii miji mingine 7 iko upande huu mwingine wa Kilifi, ambayo tukienda from hierarchy ni Giriama, Chonyi, Rabai, alafu Kauma, Ribe, Kambe, Jibana. Sisi tuko huu. So akataka mwanamke ambaye ni mwalimu katika hizi kabila zingine, lakini tutasema the major tribes katika miji sasa haya 7 ambayo huko ni Wagiriama ndio wengi, wakaja Wachonyi, wakaja Warabai. Hao wengine wako lakini the numbers ya. So jopo likatafuta.
Mlikuwa watu wangapi?
Mimi ninavyojua wakati huo sijajua wenzangu kina nani. Mimi na wakati huo nakumbuka nilipofanywa the first interview naambiwa tuko 7. Nikafanywa tu normal, it was not an interview per se because hatuko na wale wengine. Labda kila mtu alionwa mali pake. But nikazungumziwa what I do, they wanted to know who I am. What's my passion, what have I done.
Wakati ulikuwa umeinteract kwa siasa kabisa bado ulikuwa unatoka darasani?
Hapo sijafanya chochote cha siasa. Kile ambacho mimi nimekuwa nikisaidia siasa ni because I'm a teacher, the background being a teacher. Ni kwamba hapo awali ile ugatuzi wa kwanza, the first governor, the deputy governor was somebody from Rabai. I come from the Rabai community. So wakati ule alipokuwa wanasimama, of course tunachukuliwa na ile wave kusaidia kumobilize. So apart from the mobilization,
walimu wanajuana na watu wengi.
Wanajuana, tunakuja tunasikiza.
Hakuna kitu kingine ulikuwa
sasa ni ile tu kupangana kihivo. Mimi that was my interaction na ikaisha hapo. Basi
wakati umeingia siasa na maisha ya ualimu ukikompare, unaweza kusema kuna raha ama ni karaha?
Kuna utofauti. Manake kuna ile furaha ya kwamba umeingia siasa. Of course sasa all eyes are on you. Uheshimiwa mwingi, but nilijua hili ni jukumu kubwa zaidi. Maybe another part of my life which I've not shared. Mimi ni mtu wa kupenda Mungu sana. Katika my free time mimi nimekuzwa na maadili ya Kianglikana. Nakumbuka tukiwa wadogo, mama yeye ni mtu wa kanisa kabisa. Alituhamasisha tufanye mambo ya kanisa. So nilipoolewa nikapenda kuingia hii movement ya Mothers Union. So katika kile kitengo cha Mothers Union katika makanisa ya Kianglikana nilikuwa napenda kufanya mambo ya kushirikiana pamoja na kina mama. So in church I used to be very active. Na projects za kina mama. You know how moms are.
Kina mama wana vitu vingi.
Wana mambo mengi, kupamba kanisa, kufanya miradi hivi. Yeah. So katika being very active in those, pia hiyo ikanisaidia hata wakati huo, manake niko kwa hii kanisa hapa Mombasa inaitwa Emmanuel Church. Nakumbuka wakati huo Mheshimiwa Mbogo yuko MP pale. So inawe wananitumia wanasiasa katika zile
walikuwa wanatembea kama wanapanga miradi.
Miradi. So yale macho ya kwamba huyu mama ana movie ya so pale Mombasa kuko na nitumia kwa upande huu. Na ukiangalia
hivyo akiko kwa kitu kigeni sana.
kuna vile ulikuwa umeelewa kidogo. Ulipata upinzani kutoka kwa familia katika swala hili la siasa?
In fact, wacha nikwambie, my family are my number one supporters. Alafu mimi niseme kwa nini hii ni God given, because imagine mimi ni mama watoto 3, lakini wakati hii ilikuja wakati watoto wako boarding. My husband works in Nairobi, wakati anafanya Nairobi, so sikuwa na ile shida ya kwamba
kuna mtu anapinga hivi.
Anapingana na they supported me. Wamekuwa mstari
mbele kukuunga mkono.
Alafu mwanzo mzee aliposikia hiyo, amekuwa na furaha nyingi. Lakini asema yeye furaha yake kubwa ni if I become better than him. That's what he tells me.
What he was.
Yes.
All right. Wakati sitakupata ukipiga siasa, nitakupata ukifanya nini? Your hobbies?
Mimi napenda board games.
Yes.
Napenda kuimba sana na kudance.
Hakika. Watu wa sherehe.
Mimi yes. Yani napenda sana. Yani I love music, is therapeutic to me. I love music, but I love slow music, gospel music. Yani mimi ni mtu mara nyingi, manake like my Sundays, I love worship.
Utakupata pale umezama.
Zaidi napenda kanisa, neno muhimu, lakini worship. Everyone needs to be prepared.
Yes.
Mtu yoyote anapokwenda kanisani akipata worship, hata ile mambo mengine yana flow.
Na anasahau chenye kilikuwa kina.
Because with now this position ina mambo mengi.
Yes.
Alafu pia I want to be a leader who identifies with everyone. Unajua mara nyingi watu husema tu, sijui ukweli kiasi gani, wakati mtafuta siasa, mtaenda makanisani, mtaenda msikitini, lakini mkiwa katika nafasi
ni uongozi,
wale masahau kwenda kanisani. But mimi nasema they should also know. Kwa hivyo kukiwa na chochote cha county ambacho wananipatia nafasi na
mambo ya kanisani upo pale. Alright. Haya maswali nitauliza ni one word answer. Na hakuda kusita. Which is your favorite color?
I love maroon.
Which is your favorite meal?
Chapati.
Your favorite age?
40.
One decision you made and you regret?
At the moment, my life is full of so many things. Mpaka saa zingine mimi ni mtu regrets sipendi kufocus. Yeah, because when let me tell you something, Liz, when you focus on regrets, you don't progress. So mimi hata kama nimefanya mistake, of course sometimes I meet people, nikasema sometimes ningefanya hivi. Unajua kuna watu they know how to kitu ambacho saa zingine na regret. Nitasema hata sahi sometimes I need to sijui kuomba. Unajua kuna watu wengine hawana haya. Waomba ile wazi bayana ile. Mimi kidogo nina haya. Naomba pole pole. I want people to see that I am in need of this. So can you please join? I mean, can you kubaliana na mimi? Lakini sahi itabidi niwe ngangari. Sasa itabidi nataka.
One thing you cannot do without?
My perfumes.
One thing I cannot miss in your house?
My dear, you cannot, when you come to my house, you'll not miss scriptures.
Your favorite person?
My mom.
Your role model?
My dad.
Thank you so much. Sasa kunipa nafasi kuzungumza nami, na najua kuna wanawake wenye wamekutazama hilo and they want to be like you. What is your advice?
Muhimu, go for what you need or for what you want. Opportunities zikifunguka, you grab what you have. Usisikize zile sauti ya kwamba siwezi. The Bible says you can do all things through Christ who gives you the strength. So if you're focused to do something, go for it.
Asante sana kunipa nafasi kusikia story na historia yako. You have a very lovely, interesting story. Hivi karibuni tutakuwa tukiiona moja kwa moja siku ya Alhamisi. I'll be back, nikuje tupike to dance na wewe kwa nyumba yako soon. Asante sana kuchagua kutegea TV47, mfahamu kiongozi. As usual, this is the home where you get to hear stories of various leaders wenye wamepiga hatua katika maisha. Manake majorly huwa unawaona tu kule nje, lakini walitoka wapi, walianzia wapi? Mimi ni Liz Matuko, kwa heri kwa sasa.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Toka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia,
County 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred.
Suitable for general family viewing.
All right, welcome back again. It's another Thursday. My name is Dr. Chepsi. I'm your host, and this is Body Garage, the art of well-being. Now, today we are going to talk about eye and eye health, and approximately about 7 million Kenyans have a certain type or a certain condition of an eye that involves the eye. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, and we have Dr. Lily today here. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me in your program.
Karibu.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to always speak about eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems you're so passionate about the human eye.
Yes, that's what I do for a living.
Yes.
And and everything I do is connected with the eye. So that's where my passion lies.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, just to start us off, I mean, what made you to be so much interested with the human eye? Because, I mean, if somebody is told that they are people specialized with a very small part of the human body, just to say somebody might really be surprised.
So my journey with eyes starts where I used to be a medical officer and a medical intern. That was at the Coast Provincial General Hospital. So during internship, as you know, we get to rotate through obstetrics, gynecology, pediatrics, surgery, and medicine. So when I became a medical officer, I decided let me do a rotation through what we used to call the special subjects, you know, ophthalmology, ENT. So just to get a feel so that by the time I'm specializing, I have a feel of all the areas I could rotate in and make an informed decision. So when I was working there, at least I had a good mentor. And the moment I rotated through ophthalmology, I think it was just set. I knew, maybe the way my brain thinks, I'm a bit structured in the way I think. And I found the eye interesting. You know, many of the things you actually see, there's not so much theory like maybe say in medicine. It's what you see. And I found that there was a good mix with, so in ophthalmology we treat with medicine. We also do surgical procedures, a lot of surgery, because you know everyone has two eyes.
Yes.
And then there's research involved, a lot of eye research involved, public health. So it's, you know, it's a good mix, it's a good pot, you can find everything there. And right now, even my profession reflects that. As we were discussing just before we started the show, an ophthalmologist, glaucoma specialist. I'm also a physician-trained research scientist. I teach, which you'll find also in ophthalmology. And I teach, do clinical work, and I do research. So all that you find in the eye, and also a lot of public health, related issues. So I found that, at least in ophthalmology, I was able to, from the things I learned in undergraduate, I was able to merge them properly in ophthalmology. Things were more or less structured. I can be able to see things. There are many things you can do something about. And quite honestly, it's an underserved area. Yeah, you're right. Actually, about 1/8 of people, about 1/7 of our population do have eye conditions. Yeah, and that's in the world. Yeah, we have a population of almost 8 billion, and we have almost 1 billion with some eye condition or another. Yes. And we have very few ophthalmologists. We're barely getting above 100. So it's quite an underserved area, and yeah, so I felt the need to actually make an impact. Through what, and from there, I don't think I moved. I didn't even rotate in ENT. I just found, I started with ophthalmology, so that's where I got stuck. Yeah.
All right. Now, later on, we will mention where maybe somebody is watching you, where they can find you. But we'll talk about that as we close. All right. But now let's talk about this interesting structure in the human body, the eye. Like in simple terms that the people can understand, what makes up the human eye?
So back to basics, I think many of us have been through the basic school, nursery school, and I think there is where we're taught about the senses. And one of the senses is actually sight, what we see. Most of us have been able to perceive, to have that sense of sight. Yeah? And that's something we are very grateful for, to have the sense of sight, most people. And that means there are some people actually who don't have the sense of sight, to be able to see things. And we do have two eyes. Interesting. Two eyes that we're able to perceive the sense of sight. And so the eye, and that's what you see people with when you first meet them. You look into their eyes, you note, and in fact, when you don't see someone with eyes, it strikes you. When you look at someone's face, the first thing you'll see probably is their eyes. And so we have two. Luckily, at least we have a spare one in case of anything, but most of our eyes will be working, both of them. And I have a model with me. So we have what we see. You know, when you look at someone, there's the front part you'll see. So there's a clear glass structure, which is what we call the cornea. And you may think your eyes are brown, but actually there's a glass right in front. And what gives the eyes color, and now you'll notice when you look at people of different races, is that the color is given by what we call the iris. The structure is what called the iris is what gives the eye color, but just in front of it is the clear glass structure, which is called the cornea, and is very important for vision. Then right in the middle of the color, the place that gives the eye color is what we call the pupil. Yeah, and that's where light passes through. So it comes through the glass structure.
Yeah.
It passes through, there's a chamber here. If I remove this, there's a chamber. It's called the anterior chamber. And then the colored part of the eye.
Yes.
And then here, there's a...
It's like a
what you
hole.
call, yeah, it's a hole, an aperture that allows light to pass through. And that's what we call the pupil. And then right behind the pupil is another very important structure, which is called the lens.
Yeah.
And this allows and this focuses light on the back now of the eye. We don't usually see this part of the eye, but the eye is actually an eyeball. Yeah, it is an eyeball, as you can see. And this is when it's sectioned in half. And what it does, it has fluid right over here also.
The whole...
Yes, the entire eye actually has fluid, yeah, and this is what we call the vitreous, and it gives the eye some shape. It's like a ball, you know, there you have a soccer ball and it's turgid, it has some shape. So the lens actually focuses light on this other very important structure. It's a sensory structure, and this is what we call the retina. Yeah?
Now the ones that's lining the ball.
Yes, this structure that lines the ball has what we call photoreceptors. Once the light comes in, it is received and then it's changed into chemical energy, and this is what is transmitted. Now, the retina has some certain cells within it that form fibers. They are called ganglion cells. They form fibers, and they all come together. This important area here, which you call the nerve of the eye, the optic nerve. And there's a saying, actually, if you think the eye sees with the brain, the eye sees with the eye, it actually sees with the brain. So this is what transmits impulses to the eye, to the brain, to the brain. So we actually see with our brain. It's fantastic. You have this eye over here, and it has fibers that are connected all the way to the brain. So the brain is very important in vision. And many times you'll see if there's a problem with the brain, then we will not be able to see. There's a certain area in the brain that is mapped for seeing. Yeah. So that is the eye in a nutshell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I trust the viewers have learned some anatomy to say. Now, in Kenya, to be specifically, you mentioned that there are some what you call priority eye diseases.
Yeah, so Kenya has a government, and within the government, we have the Ministry of Health. And in the Ministry of Health, we actually do have an office for ophthalmic services. And we align our goals with also the world goals. We actually have a forum, the WHO has priority eye diseases, and which happen to be the same of what we need to work on in our country. So there are certain diseases that are important, and they are important causes of blindness and visual impairment. Yeah, in our population. These are the diseases we've seen. If we did something about it, then we reduce the impact of poor eye health in the country significantly. Yeah, so you go for the top, so that once you work on the top, you're able to, and most of these diseases are reversible. They cause what we call visual impairment and blindness, but most of them can be reversed. You know, that's the beauty. We can actually do something about it. And people don't have to be, what we say, needlessly blind. So top on the list is actually cataracts. Yeah, and many people suffer from cataracts worldwide. Yeah, we're trying as much as possible. Even in the hospital, we actually work a lot. It's one of the main procedures we do. Yeah, and we've seen that, and most of the time the outcome for cataract surgery is good. And people reverse. We actually, imagine, people reverse.
So somebody was blind and then they are able to see again.
In fact, for those of you who read the Bible, I always say Jesus was an ophthalmologist. Yeah, he actually, he healed, I think there's a story there where he healed someone and they were not seeing and they saw. Yeah, so, and it is that dramatic. They come to the hospital not seeing, and the next day you're able to see. Yeah, once the cataract is removed. So that is one priority eye disease. Another priority eye disease we have is something we call refractive error. I can see you're wearing glasses. Very main cause of, it's actually higher than cataracts. So it is a very important cause of visual impairment and even blindness, and especially in the young group. And right now there's an epidemic worldwide yeah, because of a lot of near activities, reading, working on gadgets. And you'll notice, even in our country, the studies show that particularly in the urban areas, we do have a lot of refractive error, and especially what we call myopia. So that's the pandemic that's going on right now. It's called the myopic epidemic. Yeah, so, and many of the times the studies, with the ones we've done here, we've noticed people with refractive error, the people with far-sighted are mostly found in the rural. Most people in the city have short-sightedness, and they're even more. Yeah, so this is an important cause of blindness, and actually you just need spectacles to correct it. So it is very amenable to treatment, just glasses. Some people may need contact lenses out of choice, or that is the best way to correct them. We also do refractive surgery for people who are using glasses if they would like to drop their glasses, although that fits a certain criteria in which people we have to check if you meet criteria to be able to drop your glasses or not. So those are the main ways we deal with refractive error. Then this trachoma. Trachoma used to be a main problem in terms of blindness, but there have been many activities in the country, especially applying what we call the SAFE strategy, where we encourage environmental cleanliness, because this was a disease found mainly in the people who are nomads. People would have cattle around them, they don't have access to clean, pastoralist community. They don't have access to clean running water. So this has been a main problem for them. So just giving them basic things like washing their faces, especially for children, mothers, those are the ones who get affected with trachoma, and giving them antibiotics and doing surgery for patients who have what we call trichiasis, the rubbing of this clear glass in the eye, and that can cause blindness. So surgery is done for that. That's what the SAFE strategy is in a nutshell. That administration of antibiotics to populations usually is done about once a year, and that has greatly improved this trachoma. The incidence has gone down remarkably. Yeah, we're even seeing less than half the cases. That is back in 2018. So there's a current study going on right now, so we will know the results, where we are with trachoma nowadays.
After the result, the study is concluded.
After the study is
concluded. All right, I think we are going to take a break, and we will pick right where you have left, so stay tuned.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa, kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Toka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir,
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turkana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Nitakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Alright, welcome back. You are watching Body Garage, the art of well-being. I'm your host, Dr. Chepsi, and we are talking about eye health. And right now we continue the conversation on priority eye diseases. You had mentioned about trachoma and processes so far, and there seems to be victory, right? Yes. So now you mentioned also about pediatric eye diseases, something like that.
Yeah, actually pediatric eye diseases are also a priority, you know, because even though they may be a bit fewer compared to adult diseases, but if you're going to speak in terms of economics in our society, children actually have so many more years of life to give. Yeah. So if a child is blind, then you have to count all the years they'll remain blind and not contribute economically. Plus, they will be draining the economy economically because you actually have to, spend money to be able to take care of blind people. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but where we can do something about it, in terms, actually, pediatric diseases, those are, I think I would put high on the priority list because they have all these person time years. I think you learned about that in public health. So anything pediatric is very important. You save a child's life, you give our country another citizen to serve as, maybe now the life expectancy is around 65 years. So they'll be able to serve for all those years, build the economy. So for the pediatric eye, priority eye diseases, top on the list are refractive errors, we had mentioned them. Then there's also cataract, pediatric cataracts, and these are urgent. We don't keep kids with cataracts. As soon as, and these are some of the things we check when we go to the clinic, when babies are taken to the clinic, and it's usually up to 5 years. And even if you look at the book for immunization for mothers, there are some things the health worker usually looks for. And even you as a parent, you can read, and even there are photos to show what we are looking for. So any white reflex is usually a priority. So cataracts, those are operated on immediately because children can learn to forget how to see. They're so plastic in the way they operate, you have to actually operate them as a priority. Another thing is glaucoma, childhood glaucoma. That also is surgically treated to reduce pressure in the eye to avoid optic nerve damage. The interesting thing with children, when the pressure is high in the eye, even the eye grows. So they have what we call ophthalmos, they have big eyes. So we have to prevent that, because it's not good for them when it's growing at that rate. And also to prevent nerve damage. You know, the nerve we talked about, that we can't reverse if it's spoiled. Another thing which is now going, good news, thanks to a robust immunization system we have, is vitamin A deficiency. Once a very important cause of blindness, but you realize our schedule is very precise. Starting from 6 months, we give children vitamin A, a boost. Even the lactating mothers who are breastfeeding are given vitamin A in the clinic. So that has really come down. Emerging, which might come, it's not there, but I see it with preterm babies a lot, because we are now having an increased life expectancy of preterm babies. Maybe something we call retinopathy of prematurity. That's a discussion for another day, but may actually start becoming an important cause of blindness in children. So those are the main, I could say the main important childhood causes of blindness. And sorry, strabismus. strabismus may not cause blindness, but if an eye is always deviated in a certain direction, the child may forget to see in that eye. So it needs to be corrected, and that also is available in the manual, the child handbook. It's actually a very informative one, so you're able to see what is important, and all these things are highlighted. One other thing, there's a childhood cancer, the most common intraocular tumor, and it's called retinoblastoma. May not be we still, at least in our country, we still mention it. And that also is available in our guidelines, any cause of white reflexes in the eye. So if people...
It's obvious thing that a parent, for example, can pick.
Actually, if you have a child, even in the neighborhood, and you notice, especially during dusk when the pupil is a bit bigger, and you notice something is white in the eye,
where it's supposed to be black.
Yes, where it's supposed to be black. Then that is a child who needs to be taken to the hospital. And even if you're sent away, please go to the next hospital. Someone somewhere will hear you. Because that is how all these diseases start. Something was white in the eye. And I've seen most of the people pick it up early. So when you see something white in the eye, the child has to be taken to hospital.
All right. Now, before we move on from that, I think there is usually this thing among pupils, students, and many times they are mistaken for being like they're acting out. So let's say a girl in Form 2 says, I'm not able to see well. And the parents are like, no, you are just pretending, you don't want to go to school. So it's not that they're pretending, it is true, it's an emerging thing.
So I would always say, at least being a physician and a doctor, I have to rule out every other cause of not seeing before I say they don't see. And actually sometimes maybe they could be other. Remember we did this in psychiatry, hypochondriasis, but for me that is the last diagnosis on my list. I first have to work with the patient right in front of me. And many times, I think, at least from my experience, many times they do actually have problems. And even some of them, I did some research amongst high school students in terms of refractive error. Actually, many don't even know they have a problem. They think there's so much going on in the body, so much growing up going on. They think this is how I'm meant to be seeing. So many of them don't even know that they're having issues. Another thing I've seen, especially amongst that age group, and I don't think you should ever say they're pretending, is when they get it's a rare condition, but it can happen. When you have an inflammation of the optic nerve, something we call optic neuritis, and I've seen it. So there, I don't say that someone is pretending. Let me first rule out, and there are objective ways we can do that. So first take your child to the physician before you make that decision. Take the child to the physician, then once the physician can't find anything, we may say something else is going on, but many times we find there's a problem.
All right, now let's talk about the other age group, now the elderly, the senior citizens now. They face quite some kind of unique eye challenges to them. What will those ones be?
So actually those are majority of our patients. As we undergo aging, the eye also undergoes certain changes. And one of there could be other surface conditions. Could probably dry eyes, because the glands that produce tears at basal level are not able to produce them as well as they used to. So that is one very common condition, or maybe due to infection of the glands, they could get dry eyes. Now, the most common are these priority diseases we're talking about, featuring cataract. And there are also emerging conditions that are coming up. You see, with the life expectancy going up, I think when I started medical school, it used to be down at 45. By the time I was finishing, it was at 55. Right now, we are at 65. So we're doing really well to keep people alive longer. So we'll see, and we're already seeing it, that a lot of eye conditions are emerging. And many of them have to do with age, this structure called the lens. Remember we talked about behind the iris, we have the lens. So when we have, this is supposed to be clear. So when we have it clouding, that's what we refer to as cataract. And that is one of the commonest cause, actually is the commonest cause of visual impairment and blindness in the older age group. Yeah. So that is very important.
When the lens is not able to do its work properly.
Yes, and they even start saying they're feeling like there's a cloud in their vision. And then now there's a lot of lifestyle and also just other conditions that come with probably age as a risk factor. We have, and now these are the emerging causes of blindness now. We have diabetic retinopathy and glaucoma. Sometimes diabetes is associated with a higher rate of glaucoma, but that doesn't mean to say they have to be interrelated. Some people get glaucoma, they have very good lifestyles, but they're just genetically prone to getting this disease called glaucoma. So what is glaucoma? We've talked of all these structures, and then there's one called the optic nerve. Yeah. So when we start getting cells in the nerve dying, it starts causing restriction of our field, how far around we can see. Around. That's how it starts.
So you can't see the far corner.
Yes. People say they have problems crossing roads or things like that. And many times it is associated with pressure increase in the eye. So, but glaucoma is very difficult to detect just by science, because many times even people may have advanced disease, but they still have pretty good central vision. They are very good. So this is one condition, and that's now where I start recommending early checkups. And I think our country guidelines are as early as 35. Some of the other countries are around 40 years, and they usually say around 40th birthday, you ought to give yourself an eye checkup as a birthday present, because that's the only way we can catch glaucoma early. Glaucoma is all about catching it early before it damages the nerve in the eye, and when the nerve in the eye is damaged, we can't do anything about it to return it. We only try to conserve what is left.
All right.
So these are main. Now about diabetes. Diabetes causes another problem with this structure at the back of the eye, the retina. When the sugar is high in the body, and many times diabetes causes problems with blood vessels. And if you look at my model, you notice there are blood vessels. I know there's blue and red, but there are blood vessels at the back of the eye. So diabetes affects these vessels and also affects how the sensory structure we call the retina works. So it's actually becoming a very big cause of blindness. And also hypertension. Many people in our population above 50, almost half, actually have hypertension. So it is
half of the people,
almost.
The people that you see
above 50. No, I'm not talking about the people that I see. This is a study that was done by an ophthalmologist. She was looking for eye diseases in the old population. Older meaning people above 50. And one of the things, even here, maybe I'll walk you through what we do in an eye check here. One of the things we do is look for hypertension and diabetes, because many times the eye in itself doesn't usually have issues. The diseases that are occurring elsewhere in the body sometimes manifest themselves in the eye. So we are doctors before we are ophthalmologists. We have to make sure that the commonest things, which is hypertension and diabetes, are dealt with first, because those have issues, bring many issues with the eye. So you get hypertensive retinopathy is one of them. And that ophthalmologist did that study and found up to 50%, just above 50 of people above 50 have hypertension in our population. So it's actually a very serious condition, hypertension. Most of it is controlled, but when you come for the eye checkup is when sometimes we actually pick it.
All right. Thank you so much. I think we are going to take a break now, and when we're back, we'll talk about emerging eye problems in the digital age. Stay tuned.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
Must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
you respect people.
Ndani ya Mfahamu Kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Muchuku.
Kwa mirindimo kemkem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu, makala ya kuvutia pamoja na matukio mubashara viwanjani. Shabiki, tutapiga mbizi katika kila kiwanja, ndani na hata nje ya nchi. Mtazamaji, uko tayari? Ni kazi michezoni ama michezo kazini? Ungana nami Ahmed Bahaj, sajili mpya nimefika katika kipindi cha kipekee Mchaka Mchaka. Zitatoka cheche, tutapiga mstari chini yake. Si bora michezo, ni michezo kwa ubora wake. Cheche
right, welcome back. You are watching Body Garage, the art of well-being. My name is Dr. Chepsi. I'm your host. We are talking about eye health. Now, right now, Dr. Lily is going to discuss with us about how the phones, the computers, and anything that is a screen and emits light is affecting our eyesight. Yes.
So you're actually right, yeah? It's something that is with us. I can see you have one. So it's part of what's emerging, yeah, and it is a diagnosis, yeah, and people, these are gadgets we have with us, but we can't get rid of them. I mean, they're important in our work. Many times we have to work with them. So maybe instead of getting rid of them, just to know a few pointers of what to look out for in terms of digital devices when we are working. And a lot of times, you know, they cause us to stare. Yeah, if you notice, you forget to blink when you're on your iPad. Yeah? So maybe to keep a reminder, a mental note to remember to actually blink, because your eye is moist and it needs to stay moist for a reason to work properly. Because just in front of this cornea, we have what you call the tear film, a precorneal tear film, which is also important for sight. And we need to keep this organ called the cornea moist so that it can function properly. So it's important to put a mental reminder to blink, because many times people will come with dry eyes and you ask them, what do you do? Many of them are on screens. So some people do forget to blink. So what I may recommend is sometimes we can substitute that tear film and give you drops which you can use, and they sort of hang on there a bit longer. So you can use lubricants, what you call ocular lubricants, to keep your eyes moist. And some people, it's just not, they remember to blink, but they can't keep up with that visual demand. So we still may prescribe some ocular lubricants. Having mentioned that about screens, the people I think may do a little less with screens are young people, babies, children. Yeah, even babies, I see them with phones.
Cocomelon.
Yeah, it's okay. I find it a bit disturbing. Yeah, and yeah, maybe also the social amenities around us are not helping either. Yeah, because you find all these apartment blocks coming up. So kids, maybe when I grew up, probably there was a lot of field and land to play with. Yes. It's very important. Yeah. It's actually very important because this, as I had spoken earlier about this myopic epidemic, it's real and it's with us. Yeah, and it's because many children are just either on screens or they're on their books. Children actually have to get time to kick a ball, chase things that are far, you know, adapt, because I told you they are very plastic. The moment they can easily get used to just working here, and their eye actually starts accommodating in a way that it's just used to working here. They are very plastic. So we actually have to get our kids outdoors, get our children outdoors. Right now, Africa has the least amount of refractive error, but we are catching up with people. Yeah, Asia has a lot of refractive error, almost up to 70% in some populations have myopia. That's crazy. So us, at least we are somewhere, but we are going to catch up.
Catching up.
The last study I did among high school students, I found about 1 in 10, about 16%, almost 2 in 10, yeah, have refractive error. And this is who have visual impairment because of refractive error. And most of them, 10% of them were actually myopic. So we are dealing with, and even recently, as I told you, I teach, one of the last topics we're teaching about was refractive error. Yes. And I did a sort of a poll in my class. My class, half of them have refractive error, and almost all of them had myopia. You know, the medics who like reading all the time. So it's actually a problem. You need to get out, play, get less time. Count how much time your kids are. And nowadays there are these apps that sort of tell you how long you've been on screen time. I think with children, if as much as possible, get them outside, get them less on screen time and near work. Yeah, that's what I'd say with the digital era, especially for children. It can actually help them get off glasses.
What will you comment about the use of what is called, is it photochromatic lenses? These ones, the blue light blockers.
So I think I have no issues with those. Those help. Yeah, these are different screens depending on your demand. So when you're getting your glasses, you can only say, okay, I'm working on a computer. If you can give me a filter for that, I'm going outside in the sun. You can give me a filter for that. And I actually highly recommend, if you can, to have your sunglasses when you're driving that are polarized, that can be able to block certain lights, certain UV rays. So that I have no issue with. I think they are helpful. Maybe the studies are not very robust to give us, but I see some of the studies show they may be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What will be the difference between now reading on a paper book and reading on a computer? Is it different? If I read a paper book for 7 hours and I read on a computer 7 hours, is it different?
I think there are no studies towards that, but the concept is how near things are.
Okay.
I don't think, you see, digital things tend to be more attractive. Have you noticed you'll stay longer on a digital device than a paper book? That's usually the problem. It's very hard to see. Okay, they're there. There are people, you'll see them on paper books for very long, but I've found digital screens tend to be more enticing. So you'll tend to spend longer near work hours on them. That's why I'm really recommending to be off them. Because you'll notice with the paper things, you'll tend to spend the right amount of time that you're meant to be there. Yeah, so the concept is not even, it's how near you're working.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, as we come to the close of the discussion part, what are some of the daily practices that we can employ daily to help us improve our eye health?
So apart from daily, let me skip the gun, but one thing I'd really recommend is an eye checkup. Yeah.
How frequently?
Usually for kids, we'll screen them, as I had mentioned, in the clinics that they come to. So those clinics are very important, the ones that are the postnatal clinics that we take our children to. So that's important, and we screen for some of these things. And then also in some places, if you have access, and many places, many eye hospitals will not reject you, or hospitals, at least just to check a visual acuity, how far you can read. So usually we recommend for children, once they're able to sort of detect pictures or things like that, every 2 years, until they're about 20 years of age, 2024, that's when at least full development in most people has happened. So about 2 yearly, and you'll be able to pick many things. And then we get into our golden ages where things are usually okay until we turn about 40. Then from there, at 40, you should get your your 2 yearly checkup, depending. If you have another comorbidity in terms like hypertension, diabetes, those you have to go every year. Arthritis, those you have to go every year. But if you're generally in good health, keep your 2 yearly checkups until the day you're not here with us anymore. So that would be my recommendation.
So the first thing is eye checkups.
Eye check, because many diseases you don't know they're happening. So first of all, eye check. And many childhood, you see now we cover childhood blindness and causes of blindness in adults. You see with the screening, that is detected early, and something can be done about it. Remember, children have a whole life. So we want to catch them early. Now, on to the daily practices. So, for one thing, and with the eye, remember I said many things that are occurring in the eye may be occurring elsewhere in the body. So the health practices elsewhere in the body sort of automatically replicate to the eye. So a good diet, especially diet that has orange vegetables, green leafy vegetables, diet rich in vitamin A. Because we realize a lot of vitamin A is required for proper functioning of the cells in the eye that actually keep it moist. And then also the retina, to function correctly. And even prevent some of the age-related diseases that may come about, like AMD, age-related macular degeneration. Some of the treatments we'll apply will contain micronutrients. So look at your plate. When you're serving yourself, you have to have a good diet. Remember, half of your plate has to have vegetables and fruits. The other tiny quarter, maybe some starch and some protein.
So 50% vegetables.
Have vegetables. You'll cover most of the micronutrients. Fruits and vegetables have to be half of your diet. Of course, drinking water and staying hydrated, especially that will help with dry eyes, because the eye is a mucous membrane, that will help with that. Using sunglasses and these blocks for your spectacles, the different filters, that will help also. And exercise. Yeah, exercise helps with many things, even in the eye. Exercise will help. Yeah, and restricting your time on digital devices, yeah, as much as possible. Getting enough sleep. Yeah, that will also be, that's important for improving eye health. And for kids, outdoor activities. Yeah, having that time to go outside and play. And even adults, I think adults should have some time where they go play. Yeah, you do some sports, or if you want, run somewhere, or go to a gymnasium, if that helps. Yeah, so that's what I would put in a nutshell.
All right, thank you so much. We've come to the end of our discussion. The next part, Dr. Lily is going to demonstrate to us on a patient, with the consent, of course, on how routinely you will assess a patient, right? Yes. But before we break, do you mind sharing where somebody can find you and maybe they may need an eye checkup?
So you may find me, I dual, as I told you, I teach. So I teach at the Kenyatta University. I'm in private practice. I work in the Lion Sight First Eye Hospital as a glaucoma specialist and an ophthalmologist, and also in private practice. So you can always get me anywhere. Plus, so my details should be on the website if you're looking for an ophthalmologist. Or just call the hospital. The hospital should be able to get you an appointment if you'd like to be seen.
And social media.
Yes, and social media may be a bit quick there, but we have a very good social media in this hospital.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for staying around. Let's go on and watch a bit of practical stuff here. Thank you so much.
Hello, Nancy. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
And it's good to see you.
I'm back.
Yeah, I can see. I'm happy to see you come for your annual checkup, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, I think my eyes have been deteriorating because I've not been able to be seeing very, very well.
Yeah, I just saw your visual acuity test, and I've noticed that you're not seeing with your current prescription properly. But as usual, we'll do the eye check first. Okay. Yeah. For the viewers, this is a slit lamp. Yeah, it's able to sort of slit the eye into a slit, and you see the way we are demonstrated in our model eye. I'm able to see from the front to the back of the eye, and I start in that order. So Nancy will be having you today for our viewers to be able to demonstrate how an eye check is done. And as usual, I'll require you to have your chin here. Do you have any other issues you'd like to let me know about apart from your glasses? Anything else bothering you?
Not really.
Okay. So I'd like you to place your chin right on the chin rest over here, and make sure your head comes all the way to the strap over here. Okay. And now I'll adjust your head to just fit in, and I'll be able to view with the beam. Make sure your head is all the way to the front. Good. So I'll give you a target. Yeah, I need you to look straight ahead. Yeah. And please look at my right earring. I usually wear the earrings for this purpose. And I can see your cornea looks okay. Okay, and just keep looking straight ahead in the earring. The lens is clear. The vitreous, as I said, is clear. Your optic nerve looks healthy. That's the right side. And remember, you have two eyes, so we'll take a look at both. So now focus on my left earring. Everything is clear, cornea is okay, lens is clear, anterior chamber is good. Vitreous is clear, your anterior chamber looks good. Now look down. You need to also see your eyelid and the glands that produce tears. we are done. I noticed a bit of inflammation on the lid margin. You're sure you don't feel achy eyes or tiredness at some point? You can rest back.
At times when I wear contacts, I feel it, I think, from this side, I'm not sure.
One of the eyes.
Yeah.
So maybe just a warm compress would help the glands open up, and then will help the tear production. And whenever you put on your contact lenses, it would be good to also have a lubricant just to top up. So after this, at least your eye check, the usual eye check is good. So I recommend that we have an optometrist. So they'll see you, retake your visual acuity, check your old prescription, and then measure you again and see if you need a new fitting. Then you come back and see me. Okay. Is that okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Nitakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa, we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
but you respect people.
Ndani ya Mfahamu Kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Mutuku.
Kwa mirindimo kem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu, makala ya kuvutia pamoja na matukio mubashara viwanjani. Shabiki, tutapiga mbizi katika kila kiwanja, ndani na hata nje ya nchi. Mtazamaji, uko tayari? Ni kazi michezoni ama michezo kazini? Ungana nami Ahmed Bahaj, sajili mpya nimefika, katika kipindi cha kipekee Mchaka. Zitatoka cheche, tutapiga mstari chini yake.
Well, good evening and welcome to TV47 Daily Report. Tonight with me, Victor Moyakane and Catherine Simaloy on Sign Language. On a day where we had the State of the Nation address, and a lot of that address had to do with the state of you and I's pockets. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on, but for now, first, the highlights. Tonight.
Cost of living is not an abstract phenomenon. It is a reality experienced by households.
President William Ruto says you and I will have to go through a rougher patch as far as the cost of living is concerned, as tougher decisions have to be made in order to rescue Kenya's ailing economy.
Tumeona amekusia vitu mbalimbali, lakini mwananchi huyo wa kawaida tunaona bado anaumia.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga claps back at those who are calling him out for being too silent.
No, their businesses are being destroyed, not by demonstrations, but through taxation. Leo wanakuja wanasema baba yuko wapi?
Saying the Kenya Kwanza government cannot positively turn Kenya's tide. And many more Kenyans continue to bear the brunt of floods marooning parts of the country.
Over 30,000 people displaced by the floods.
But it's the president's loud silence on the matter during the State of the Nation address that is causing more worry. Right, once again, good evening and welcome to our broadcast. We want to thank you for choosing us to inform you this evening, and we'd like to invite you to share with us your views and reviews on the news. Let us know where you're watching us from and let us know what you think about President William Ruto's State of the Nation address. And with that, we are off. It is not done until it's done. These were the words of President William Ruto while addressing a joint sitting of Parliament about dealing with the banditry challenge in the North Rift region, stating that the government has taken firm measures to deal with the security matter that has affected 6 counties of the region. Moige William with that report.
more than 8 months since the deployment of the Kenya Defence Forces and elite teams drawn from the National Police Service to 6 counties in the Kerio Valley belt affected by banditry, President William Ruto lauded the move in the State of the Nation address, saying it was the best way out in dealing with the upsurge in cases of deaths caused by banditry. This is despite the pushback from the criminals.
In the North Rift, we have been systematic, focused, thorough, unrelenting, and totally committed to removing for good all threats to lives and livelihoods of Kenyans.
The head of state highlighted that insecurity in some instances has disrupted lives and destroyed livelihoods, with lives lost because of lawless men taking up illegal arms and waging war against communities. Ruto warned that the government will ensure that those who challenge their sovereignty, territorial integrity, national security and the safety of the people are countered and rendered harmless. These while he ordered that 80% of police recruits be picked from NYS.
We are conscious to provide security as a public service for the benefit of law-abiding citizens and as a guarantor of economic growth. Therefore, our security services have been committed to a citizen-centric, rights-focused, inclusive, and community-based security strategy.
On the bane of terrorism, the head of state acknowledged that it is a continuing threat, stating the government will remain constantly vigilant against and that the safety of all citizens is the foremost commitment and most fundamental obligation of Kenya Kwanza.
The government exists to ensure that those who challenge our sovereignty, territorial integrity, national security, and the safety of the people of Kenya are expeditiously countered and rendered harmless.
President William Ruto insists the Kenya Kwanza government will continue with its deliberate efforts to restore a sense of security in the banditry-affected Kerio Valley belt. Mwegi William, TV47, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
Now, the death toll due to flooding in the northeastern region has now hit 14, even as destroyed infrastructure and heavy rains pose a challenge to those delivering humanitarian aid. Displaced residents are now decrying possible starvation in their camping sites. Sheila Chelangat with more.
The situation in the northeastern region continues to be dire by the day, with the region continuing to witness relentless rains. The raging waters now have destroyed major infrastructure in the area. This is the Garissa-Modogashe Road, with parts of it cut off and water marooned, rendering it impassable. Nuria Ali, a mother of 3, was traveling from Nairobi to Wajir with her family, but the level of water here has forced her and other passengers to put a halt to their journey.
Tukivuka hapa tutaenda wapi? That's why sasa tuko hapa kuanzia saa 9 mpaka sasa. Na hatuna matumaini ya kupata usaidizi sababu tulikuwa tuna communicate na ofisi ya Wajir watume gari, lakini huko tayari ile matope huko kuna gari zinafika kwa lami.
Now they face uncertainty of when they will continue with their journey. This mirrors the situation in the northeastern region, which now, due to the flooding, has registered a death toll of 14.
We have about 30,000 people, over 30,000 people displaced by the floods, both in Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera.
In the counties of Wajir and Mandera, flooding continues to wreak havoc. The destroyed infrastructure continues to limit the amount of aid reaching the areas.
To Bona, you cannot access Wajir. From Wajir, you cannot access Bona. So these areas are totally affected.
The situation now has escalated too for those that are in camps. This is the Madogo campsite in Tana River, playing host to over 300 families, and according to them, they are facing a starvation threat.
Watoto sasa wako tangu asubuhi hata hawajaweka kitu chakula kwa mdomo. Tunaomba serikali kuu, serikali ya county ituangalie tuko na shida. Watuangalie vile tutapata chakula.
Amid the flooding, which slowly is heading to be a disaster, several organizations are joining to respond to these emergencies, a move welcomed by DP Rigathi Gachagua.
Hivi tuna respond kwa sababu sana ya mvua ile ilinyesha kwa wingi. Ikiingia janga sasa ya maji ya mtoni itakuwa ni kitu kingine. Na hapo ndio tunafikia.
Locals affected, however, want more to be done as intervention to the worsening situation. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Now, as this happens, Azimio leader Raila Odinga claps back at those who are calling him out for being too silent while the country is headed in the wrong direction, saying he played his part. Odinga further saying that the Kenya Kwanza government cannot positively turn Kenya's tide.
With regard to this animal called the cost of living,
the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga has once again criticized the government's actions over leveraging on extra taxes to stage an economic recovery, suggesting that the alternative is to reduce the government expenditure and by dealing with the wastage of public funds in the country.
Increasing taxes is not the solution to the problem we're having. If you increase the taxes, there's always a tendency to evade. People, for example, are not paying. You've increased the tax on fuel. Many people are not driving.
Odinga has referred to the late President Mwai Kibaki's government, who through difficult economic times had managed to liberate the nation.
But you cannot do it if you've got mediocrity and the kind of rogues and thieves running our affairs. These thieves will take us nowhere. The cost of living, which Jim is talking about here, will not go down when these thieves are in charge.
The leader indicates that the anti-government protest earlier held in various parts of the country, seeking an address to the high cost of living, had been criticized, which according to Odinga was a genuine approach to defend the interests of Kenyans.
No, their businesses are being destroyed, not by demonstrations, but through taxation. Leo wanakuja wanasema baba yuko wapi? Na baba ako kimya. He's not talking.
And some of them from the Kenya Kwanza counties were saying quite loudly that if there was maandamano now, then the hottest places would be the Kenya Kwanza areas.
These sentiments come at a time when Kenyans have been cautioned against possible inflations in the coming months. On Thursday, the Azimio principal and other leaders met with the student movement in Nairobi. Paul Munio, TV47.
President William Ruto now says that you and I will have to go through a rougher patch as far as the cost of living is concerned, as tougher decisions have to be made in order to rescue the country's ailing economy. The address has elicited mixed reactions among leaders from across the aisle, as Elizabeth Mutuku now tells us.
The inaugural State of Nation address by President William Ruto came with a lot of expectations in the wake of skyrocketing cost of living and fuel prices, a matter legislators awaited the head of state to address. But as soon as the address was over, MPs expressed mixed reactions on the high cost of living and high cost of fuel, which they said the president was not clear on measures put in place to address this, insisting he ignored matters touching General Mwananchi. In his speech, President William Ruto was candid on subsidized fertilizer program, which he says has not only achieved bumper harvest, but lowered the cost of unga as well as maize.
But the citizens at the lower bottom are really pressed. So, and when he has failed to speak about fuel, it's a disappointment.
So if the president wants to really mean well for this country, it's the right time to reflect on the reality, not just to talk to give people false hope. What's happening is basically false hope, telling people we are okay, but the truth is we are not okay. Look at how they are doing in terms of looking for resources. They have even now increased cost of getting IDs, cost of replacing IDs, cost of getting passports, without understanding, even today many Kenyans cannot even afford the passport using the previous cost.
However, Kenya Kwanza Brigade were of a different opinion, praising President for what they termed as being honest with the current situation in the country, insisting the fuel prices have been influenced by global challenges and might take time before taking shape.
To see prices coming down, and if they come down, I'll actually ask all of us to go to Tanzania, because I don't believe that is going to be the case unless they can be able to extract their own oil. But if you're talking about global prices, now there has been the issue of why Tanzania appears to be slightly cheaper. This is because of the adjustment of the Kenyan shilling, where we have stopped this artificial propping up of the shilling. And the new governor of Central Bank, I want to congratulate him, because he has allowed the shilling to float freely, and this has actually seen a 20% depreciation of the Kenyan shilling against the Tanzanian shilling. Now we are at more realistic levels.
I know on the part of fuel, there are certain interventions that are just merely counterproductive. If you tell the president to now subsidize these big companies that are distributing fuel, you are actually wasting public resources, because you do it like the last administration did it. The prices never come down, but you've lost the money.
Of Azimio legislators who had expressed their displeasure in the state of economy were not sure in the chambers, but instead took to the social media criticizing the number one in command and the Kenya Kwanza government at large. Inaugural State of Nation address by President William Ruto reveals deep-seated cracks within parliamentarians along political divides, that is Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47 Pan Biddings, Nairobi.
Now, President William Ruto's address to Parliament today, or rather Thursday, was received with mixed reactions among Kenyans, with some stating that he will improve the country's state of the economy if granted a fair chance and time. However, some Kenyans have a feeling that the country is headed in the wrong direction, demanding that measures be put in place now to address issues such as the high cost of living. Mike Kagongo reports.
As President William Ruto made his maiden State of the Nation address to Parliament on Thursday afternoon, a section of Kenyans were keen to know his achievements after 1 year in office. Some of them we spoke to said they have faith in the president's ability to turn around the country's economic fortunes.
Mimi katika mtazamo wangu ndampa 85%. Nimtolewe 15 kwa maana nikimpa sasa nimuongezee na sasa atafanya nini?
However, other Kenyans are seeking for a new direction spearheaded by talks centered on security, development and interest of Kenyans.
Usipoteremshwa uchumi bado ni ngumu. Tulikuwa tunatarajia rais atapunguza mafuta kwa sababu saa hii usafiri umekuwa hali ya juu zaidi.
Hiyo hotuba yake ndio anasemanga kufurahisha sisi. Mwishowe afanye vile amesema.
In his address, the head of state said in a bid to reduce the cost of living, his administration is investing in farming of various food crops. Farmers, more so those in the sugar sector, believe the president's interventions will pay off.
Sisi kama watu wa Western tumefurahi sana. Na vile pia amepanga mambo ya kufungua viwanda vyote vya sukari kuanza kushaka Disemba kwenda mbele, na hayo ndio tulikuwa tunangojea kwanza kwa watu wetu wakulima wetu.
Mwingine ambayo hawezi kuinuka sababu haleti pesa, anapewa pengine shilingi 800.
In Bungoma County, a section of residents welcomed the president's speech on sugar millers' revival, fertilizer and banning of sugarcane importation, stating that the move will see local sugar producers grow.
Anajaribu mbinu zote kuanza kununulia wakulima mahindi na cereals board. Tunaona kwamba ile jambo litasaidia wakulima pia wapate kujinufaisha kidogo.
On the other hand, they insisted that President William Ruto should check on the high cost of living by reducing the fuel price in the country, rubbishing the Hustler Fund as unhelpful loan that only benefits the president himself. Mike Kagongo, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, still in the same event earlier on in Parliament, President William Ruto has lauded the opposition, Azimio, for agreeing to participate in the ongoing bipartisan talks. The president, recognizing Azimio's delegation leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who was in Parliament, and National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah for making progress in the talks, saying that they will deepen democracy and enhance national unity. The president's blessings on the talks came as the National Dialogue team retreated to draft its final report 17 days to the November 26th deadline.
With 17 days left to the outcome of Kenya Kwanza and Azimio deal in the ongoing bipartisan talks, President William Ruto lauded the opposition for agreeing to dialogue, saying the outcome of the talks will not only unite the country, but deepen democracy.
I salute the courage and patriotism of my fellow leaders who have embraced national dialogue and engage and encourage all of us to keep up the noble work of bringing Kenyans together. There is so much to report about the progress we have made in serving the people of Kenya.
Thank you so much.
Despite the president's optimism for the much-awaited consensus, Azimio leader Raila Odinga was missing from the head of state's maiden State of the Nation speech. His co-principal, Kalonzo Musyoka, who was in attendance, was recognized by the president, and his co-chair in the talks, Kimani Ichung'wah.
My good brother, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, our former president, and the leader of majority in the House, Kimani Ichung'wah, for doing a wonderful job. Congratulations, gentlemen.
With the country smarting from street protests in the first half of the year, President Ruto said the nation has overcome the crisis, and he was looking forward to a united country that has always overcome adversity caused by politics.
There is no doubt that our nation has been confronted with immense pressure emanating from political misunderstandings sometimes and electoral disagreements. And it is because we have a robust democracy, which we are very proud of.
Among the thorny issues on the agenda is the cost of living, which the two sides are yet to strike consensus on how it should be tackled. The National Dialogue team, which met on Thursday, has now retreated to draft its final report as the country awaits whether the Kalonzo Ichung'wah team will lead the country to a referendum or whether the bills to be proposed will be executed in Parliament to effect the agreed changes.
So for the bigger picture and for the common mwananchi, it is a good thing to see. It is also a bad precedent to set that every time people lose elections, they go to the streets, they demand to have a sit down, and then, we are caught up in like the 1 year that we essentially sort of had the push and pull.
With the National Dialogue Committee set to retreat and draft its final report, the president's reconciliatory tone is a bonus for the committee ahead of the 26th November deadline. Apul Kamau, TV47 at Parliament Buildings.
The leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, or EFF, in South Africa, Julius Malema, is in Kenya. And he has, this Thursday, hit out at President William Ruto for what he terms as failing to fulfill the promises that he made to Kenyans during the campaign period. Malema, who has stressed the importance of Africa uniting, is in the country for the launch of the Pan-African Institute led by Professor P.L.O. Lumumba. He spoke at the Lukenya University in Makueni County.
I don't know if President William Ruto means it, because he said so many things and I can't locate him these days, because the things he said during election and the things he's doing now are two different things. I don't know, because I heard him saying we need to do away with the dollar and build our own currency, but his actions are not speaking to anything of doing away with the dollar. I don't know if you'll regret inviting me after this. But my problem is that I tell my truth as is, and I say it to authorities without fear or favor.
Now, the High Court has Thursday issued orders suspending government services fees review. This follows an application to the court by Nakuru-based Dr. Magare Gikenyi. This comes just a day after the government, through a special gazette issue by Interior CS Kithure Kindiki, increased several government levies, including fresh ID card application fees and replacement. Grace Kuriakanja with the details.
Wasituumize pia vile pia sana. Wacheki pia the local mwananchi ana nini, kuna wale wako job na kuna wale wako jobless, unaona?
Ni kama kufinyiria watu kuongea ukweli.
So that is a result of Wednesday's special gazette issue that made jaws drop and caused citizens to bristle with rage, the same citizens who are required to cough up some notes to become citizens. Let me jog your memory. 1,000 shillings was what a freshly registered ID holder was supposed to pay. Never mind, it has always been free, and an extremely significant increase from 100 shillings to 2,000 shillings for a replacement. That 34-paged ordinary passport that normally costs 4,500 shillings was to increase by 3,000 shillings.
Hapo pia kwa story ya passport pia hapo pia wamezidi. Haifai hiyo prices iende hadi huko.
And so many more drastic, disturbing, discombobulated changes. But are you aware that this issue came as a surprise even to various government officials? See, PS State Department for Diaspora Affairs Roslyn Njogu was equally shocked, as according to the Kenyan Constitution, a child whose mother or father is a Kenyan citizen is a citizen by birth. Now, according to the issue, a Kenyan who bears a child outside Kenya was required to pay 1.2 million shillings, but the PS explained that after consultations, she was told that that was entered in error. You wonder what else? But hold up, before your temper rises even further, let's get objective. Because the conservatory order issued has suspended that gazette notice dated 6th November 2023 and or any other document purporting to give authority to increase or review the charges. That is by High Court Judge L.N. Mugambi, who further said that the confirmation of compliance and further directions will be issued on the 29th of November 2023. Grace Kuriakanja, TV47.
Now, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki and Inspector General Japheth Kome were today under scrutiny as they sought parliamentary approval to allow them to deploy officers to the Haiti peacekeeping mission. In what seems to be a convincing move, Kindiki and Kome did a rough breakdown of the procedural guidelines, while at the same time assuring the parliamentarians that the Haitian mission is not going to affect the capability, capacity, and effectiveness of the Kenya Police Service. During his appearance before a joint sitting of the National Assembly and Senate Committees on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, the CS has reiterated that the funding for these officers will be done among members of the United Nations. Kindiki adds that the reason for sending the officers to Haiti is solely to restore law and order in the gang-ravaged country.
The first batch of officers to be deployed to Haiti will leave early next year. National Police Service IG Kwame says Kenya will be the lead country with a total of 1,000 officers who had applied and qualified for the mission that has led to a heated debate. However, only a batch of the 1,000 will go in the first selection.
We shall be the lead country. We are going to support Haiti National Police on joint operational planning. Those qualified to apply, they did apply. We conducted interviews in all our various formed up units.
However, there are conditions that have to be met by the international community.
The mandates of the mission had to be anchored properly in law. All the resources that are required must be mobilized and made available before we deploy.
He has added that the selected officers will need training, support and equipping before they are deployed, and also the post-deployment.
The budget is $600 million. Their logistics, their communications, their food, their allowances, and all that goes with that.
In terms of financing the mission, the overall budget is $600 million, which includes preparation, deployment, logistics, and post-deployment. The budget is shared among member states of the United Nations.
For me now to talk about training and preparation of the officers, police officers, before deployment.
Kindiki says Kenya has taken the proactive measure of ensuring Kenyans are up to par medically and in terms of training and breaking the language barrier, with the cost spent expected to be reimbursed. Vera Alberta, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the girl who had earlier pleaded guilty to murder has now denied killing Nairobi Hospital Finance Director, the late Eric Maigo. Appearing before Kibra Court Judge Justice Diana Kavedza, Anne Odhiambo Ouma, Elias Nuts, denied that she murdered Eric Maigo on September 15th. She was not released on bond after the prosecution filed an affidavit in court opposing her release on bond as the age conflict took shape, where the defense insisted that she was below 18 years of age. The court directed that the defense should file their responses to the detectives and the matter be mentioned after 14 days for further directions. Now, the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Susan Nakhumicha, today unveiled the Kenya Medical Training College's Strategic Plan 2023-2028 at the institution's main campus in Nairobi. The Cabinet Secretary emphasized on the need for implementation of the plan, which seeks to ensure that the college plays its role in realization of universal health coverage. CS Nakhumicha, who is a graduate of the college, also launched a foreign language curriculum and a book titled The Journey to Greatness, which is a history of the 96-year-old institution.
I'm going to ensure that people do not encroach on your core business. Let people concentrate on what they are supposed to be doing. Training be left to KMTC. I'm going to ensure that happens. In our collective commitment to ensure that KMTC continues to be a beacon of excellence in medical education and healthcare advancement, I will do what it takes. I know there have been questions about the KMTCs that are not yet operational, but as a policy direction, we have decided we shall operationalize the many that were built and they are not operational before we get into new ones.
And now we take a short break. When we come back, we will have more for you. In the meantime, please keep it right here. The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for. That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya
Hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turukana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba.
Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa we could get money to pay our rent, pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough woman and not a woman to be walked over.
Kwa hivyo
but you respect people.
Dari ya mfahamu kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Mutuku.
Kwa mirindimo kemkem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu, makala ya kuvutia pamoja na matukio mubashara viwanjani. Shabiki, tutapiga mbizi katika kila kiwanja, ndani na hata nje ya nchi. Mtazamaji, uko tayari? Ni kazi michezoni ama michezo kazini? Ungana nami Ahmed Bahaj, sajili mpya nimefika katika kipindi cha kipekee Mchaka Mchaka. Zitatoka cheche, tutapiga mstari chini yake. Si bora michezo, ni michezo kwa ubora wake. Mcheche.
They say money makes the world go round. So let's slow things down a bit. Put things in perspective. From the markets to the streets to the stocks, we make the complex comprehensible. Join me, Hibak Saeed, on TV47 Business News for market insights like never before.
What's making the headlines? What does it mean to you? How does it affect you? We answer all these questions every Sunday for half an hour on To The Point Show. Hey, I'm Grace Kuriakanja, and a lot has happened this week. Let's dive into it.
Wanasema wasemao kuwa elimu ni bahari haiishi kwa kuchotwa. Wakati mwingi natangamana na wanafunzi madarasani, sio kama mwalimu bali kama nahodha kwenye kipindi cha tasnia ya elimu. Na iwapo utanikosa madarasani, basi utanipata nyanjani nikisaka habari zenye usawa, ufasaha na ukweli. Na iwapo utanikosa nyanjani, bila shaka utanipata studioni hapa nikisoma habari na kuendesha mijadala mikomavu. Mimi ni Andrin Kilemi, mpenzi wa lugha ya Kiswahili na elimu kwa jumla.
Well, if it is happening, then we are definitely talking about it on TV47's Disruptive Friday. Don't miss a moment on the most technological and disruptive moment on TV.
Welcome back. As promised, after the break, we've got a little bit more for you. Now, Kenyans should acknowledge the economic turnaround made so far in the Kenya Kwanza regime, which previously was in shambles. This is according to President William Ruto, who says that it will get harder before it gets easier, as his government is determined to eventually reduce the cost of living without turning to subsidies and unsustainable foreign debt. This as economists take opposing sides on the government's current fiscal strategy, with some lauding such efforts while others dispute the need to tax everything under the sun, so to speak. Hibak Sayed with more details.
Things will get worse before they get better.
A smooth path that leads to hell is much worse than a bumpy one that leads to a better place.
Or will they?
That's a development problem. So against that question, I am very circumspect when we start to talk about things such as leapfrogging.
On two formidable sides and armed with numbers, are economists crunching up percentages on moves that could lead the country to ruin or salvation.
However much we may try to run away from parameters of the economy, we go around and we get ourselves there. Because there are standard ways of measuring whether an economy is doing well.
But in their national numbers for employment, the number of people employed in agriculture is so small that they don't even record it. It's bunched up with many other things because most of it is technology driven. So it comes back now to technology and all that.
Supporting almost 40% of the gross domestic product, players in the agricultural sector seem to be the greatest beneficiaries of the KK regime so far, with fertilizer prices, milk storage, and even aquaculture being points of focus.
This is why the hard work we have done is already showing the promise of abundant fruit. We have laid a firm foundation for rapid development, and Kenya is no longer on the marks. The state of our nation at this moment in time is prepared, all set, and ready to go.
But two questions loom, questions that directly affect the purchasing power of the common mwananchi, the rapid decline of the value of the shilling, and in sharp contrast, the gradual rise in fuel prices. Now it seems that the matter Kenyans hope to get clarity on the most remains shrouded in the fog of mystery. And so the story goes as tension grows rife and the cost of living continues to rise. Economists are crunching up the numbers, saying we're exactly where we need to be. But is that the reality? Hibak Said for TV47.
Now, on that note, that very interesting note by Hibak Said, we would like to shift gears to the conversation on Insight tonight. And arguably the biggest news of the day is the State of the Nation address. And this is something that a lot of people have been looking at. A lot of our coverage has been focused on this particular day. And we wanted to give you first the information and give you some time to digest it. And then later on, we would request you to send send in your views and reviews on this subject as well. But now, here to help us understand this a lot better and maybe see it from a different perspective is Dr. Moses Mwangi. He is a pharmacist by profession. He is also somebody who's very passionate about governance. He's also been heavily involved in politics in his home county of Murang'a, I believe. And for some people in Murang'a, he was their choice for governor. And we have him here tonight to help us put a different perspective on things. Karibu sana, Daktari.
Thank you very, very much, and good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yes.
Did you have a good day today?
Excellent. Had a good day. A mix of work and following the matters of the nation.
Oh, yes.
Because indeed, this is one day in a year.
Indeed.
So I had a good day.
Yes.
And a good evening.
And a good evening.
Yes.
Brilliant. Hopefully it becomes a good night as well. Now, Daktari, the last 2 days have been very, very interesting. Make that last 3 days have been very interesting for Kenyans who are watching and, people who are plugged into what's happening in the country. Number one, we've got reports of floods everywhere in the country. We were just talking about how much of a blessing rain is, and sometimes a blessing comes with the other side of the coin. We've seen that. We've also seen very interesting details emerge from the impeachment proceedings of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza, including some interesting comments by one of the MPs from that area. And off the back of that, we now have the State of the Nation address. There's quite a lot to digest, don't you think?
A lot indeed. If we can start with the rains.
Yes, please.
First of all, this is what we call the short rain season. But the meteorologists are telling us to brace for a longer than usual season,
right,
where we'll have more rain than usual. For those of us who come from the mountain, Mount Kenya region for that matter, we are smiling because our cows now have napier grass.
Right.
And if you listen to the birds, they are singing good praises to the Lord. So we are looking at a situation where food security is improving thanks to we had a good long rain season. Now
the short rains.
Obviously the difficulty we have as a country, and indeed because we, in the president's speech, agriculture seems to be at the center of it.
Yes, indeed. It was very prominent.
That, he talks about fertilizer, he talks about, and it's good. But we have rain in northeastern Kenya, a place where they rarely receive rain.
Right.
Now we have excess of it.
We've got floods everywhere
and it's
now.
Sweeping and killing people.
Yes.
Just imagine.
Over 14 people dead so far.
Just imagine if, as a country, we would focus and say, this water will not go to waste. There is a way in which we could harness this water and turn around the economy of the nation, and especially the northeastern region.
Now, on that point, I have a question for you. You're keen on governance. Part of governance is foresight and early warning, and then preparation, and then execution. From where you sit, with the issue that you just pointed out, do you think we're ready, we plan for this? Do you think we're ready to take advantage of what you called blessings that have come?
You see, there has been a lot of talk about El Nino and preparedness, and even money that has apparently been voted and set aside. But then when you come and see what has just happened in Madeira, in the northern region, what reaction do you see? Maybe now we are preparing to go and give people food.
Right.
Because they're displaced. But in terms of preparedness to deal with, to harvest this water, in terms of preparedness to quickly move in there, I think we are very far in terms of what we could do. Because, it goes about, the way you prepare for war. You simulate war.
Right.
You see, the British people are here in Nanyuki simulating war. Yeah. And you plan so that when the real situation comes, So basically, looking at what the rains have done, which is a blessing, but now other people are crying. You know, you also see flooding down the
River Tana, River Athi. Yes.
You know, you see people saying serikali.
Yes.
So then turning to Meru.
Yes, about that now. What was your take on how, first of all, that this is the second time there's an impeachment, and secondly, how the proceedings were conducted, including the comments by Tigania, I believe Tigania East Member of Parliament, Mpuru Aburi?
Now, here is a county that has refused to work, you know, within a period of 1 year, a few months, 2 impeachments, and reaching at the Senate, looking at the real issues, sending back the governor to Meru, when literally almost all the MCAs, all the members of parliament, the senator, and other leaders had kind of conspired and said enough is enough, but really the issues as articulated in the Senate, and I think we want to give credit to the senators for looking at the issues and for analyzing the issues and removing the emotions and the innuendos and the vendetta, and literally saying, no, we are not convinced. But where does that take Meru? They've lost 1 year. Another year, I can imagine. And did the governor learn something last time? The answer is no, she did not. Will she learn something now? We hope she would.
What would be the lesson in terms of governance that you would prescribe for this sort of problem?
Kawira Mwangaza was elected. She was an independent candidate. If she was elected as an independent candidate in an area that was largely swept by the yellow wave, so to speak, and she was able to win, it means that she has the grassroots support. Love her or hate her.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So I think it is time that people, the leaders of Meru, the elite of Meru, woke up to the realization that no matter what they do,
they can't get rid of her.
The will of the people who voted Kawira should prevail. Having said that, I think the governor needs to take some lessons. I don't know whether she needs to go to a governance class and understand that you cannot win alone. You need the people. And the fact that you have been given 2 opportunities now, it is, yes, by the grace of God, but I think, and we hope and pray that the governor can also take herself to a meeting and say, look, these leaders are also elected the way I'm elected. The members of parliament are elected.
They represent some people.
The MCAs are elected. Let's get it work.
Okay.
Because, you know, as they say, it takes 2 to tango. And I think that the Senate rightfully observed that both sides
were at fault.
Fair
enough. Now, let's shift gears. Today, the highly anticipated State of the Nation address. If you were to tell us, just real brief, what were your expectations before the speech?
To be honest, I don't know what I was expecting. Because when you look at the state of the nation from where I sit, what would you say? I think, you know, because the people we meet every day, the businesses as they are, except for the good rains that we are having, thanks be to God, and you know, the shabas, as the president said, somebody in Kuria said, in a meta.
Samuel Kuria,
somewhere in Kuria, and I would say the same in somewhere in Moranga. You know, what is in the shaba in a meta.
Right.
I think that's the bright side of it. But when you come to the real issues on the ground, whether you want to look at the small and medium enterprises that employ people, I always keep saying, just look at the newspaper on Monday after the obituaries at the back. Count 8 pages that are singing auctions.
Right.
So in that kind of a situation, I was wondering what will the president do. But I think he did a pretty good job of highlighting things. Sometimes you may always look at the negative and fail to see the positive movement that things have happened. So in terms of, especially when you think about the cost of living, the fact that we have plenty of maize in the country now, so with that, people would say that,
things are working.
Things are working. With regard to the debt situation, I think, did he promise that the Eurobond will be paid?
He did.
Must be paid because that is money that is borrowed from individual people in Europe. You cannot renege on that and continue to be a country.
Right.
And I think it is important. Otherwise, Kenya would become a failed state.
Right.
But the state of debt.
Just on that, how much of a confidence boost, both to the government itself and to the image of Kenya abroad, would it be for that debt to be paid as promised next month?
Very important.
$500 billion shillings.
Very important. Very important in terms of confidence. Remember, where we are now, we are back, in my view, to where we were during the days of Moi.
Oh, is that so?
In that, we waited for the meeting of the Bretton Woods. Everybody knew the Paris Club. They are meeting, the IMF is meeting. We are in a scenario where
the structural adjustments.
Kenya will need to be able to borrow from multilateral donors to be able to survive through this difficult period that we are going through. And therefore, if you don't pay the Eurobond, then you not get any bailout or any whatever. So it's important. That boost is very important. And considering that these debts can be long-term, so whatever it takes, the debt should be paid because it will help the country survive. But the thing is, on the local scene, you know that the government is borrowing a lot also. So there is little money available for business people.
Yes.
In fact, we wish they pay and then they get money from out there and leave the local money to business so that we get back to work.
Yes. So there are some that are drawing a connection, and I was just looking at some of the points here, connection between the state of Kenya, the state of Kenya as a country in terms of our debt crisis and everything, and the state of common households. There are millions of people in CRB listed because of defaulting on loans. There are millions of people still who are every day or every week borrowing just to be able to put food on the table or to be able to run their businesses or educate their children and so on and so on. Enough could be said that maybe the speech and all the issues therein are quite dense and people need a few days to digest all of that. I want to call upon you, because I'm told we're running out of time, I want to call upon you to cast into the future. Talk to me about what you expect to hear in the next State of the Nation address, in terms of what do you think will have shifted or should have shifted by the time of the next State of the Nation address in 2024? God willing, we're here.
Now, let's say this. The president is very eloquent. He says the right things. If what he said were done, because the real gap is between what he says and what is done.
I believe Mr. Malema pointed that out as well.
If what he said, even half of it could be done, the next State of the Nation address, 1 year from now, it should be an account of Businesses have now come back.
Recovered and everything.
The people are able to travel because the cost of fuel
is lower
people
now.
have
Low? Yeah.
Well, even if it was not lower, if people have more income,
right,
then they could be able to afford.
But quickly, please.
Yes.
What needs to be done to have the promises achieved? What needs to be done? Where's the disconnect between what is said and what is done that needs to change?
The real issue is governance. There is a governance problem. Who are the people who are implementing what the president is saying? When you think about the CSs that are there, even when we went to the Meru governor thing, you can see their CSs, and ministers speaking from different points.
Right.
The seriousness with which the people who have been given the job to interpret and do what it is the president is saying. The president needs to be a little bit harder on his people. For now, no minister has been shown the door.
So
and yet there are quite many that Kenyans know.
And non-performing.
And non-performing.
So if I hear you correctly, heads must roll.
Heads should roll.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir, we are entirely out of time. This is a massive subject and we've only been able to tackle a little bit of it. But I want to give you one last opportunity. There's your camera right behind me. I want you to talk to Kenyans from your heart. What message do you have based on all the things that Kenyans are witnessing in the last 3 days? What would be the message to Kenyans going forward?
My dear Kenyans, the government is there and it is our government. Whatever you say. But I think for me and for you, it is important that where you are, you do what you can to take care of your family, to take care of yourself. If you are a farmer, go to the farm and farm for yourself. Don't wait for government to do anything for you. When you listen to the politicians, just listen, but be sure half the time they don't mean what they say. So, where is your future? It's in your hands.
All right.
Go for it and don't choose. Whatever you fight to do, do it.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And I think that's a takeaway for all of us who are watching. This is the Insight Tonight, and we'd like to leave you with something to take away, something to mull over, something to digest. Do what you can, and whatever you can, do it. And that's the message tonight. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Daktari, for coming, and thank you for your insights. Hopefully you can come back and we can delve deeper into this.
My pleasure.
Asante.
Thank you for having me.
What other thing is my pleasure is that I thank you for you choosing us to inform you of what's happening across the country this evening. Thank you so much. That's actually a massive pleasure and honor of mine. Up next is VAR, and VAR has a new captain. His name is Duncan Mutua. We call him Askofu the Bishop. VAR right after this. My name is Victor Muyakane, and many, many regards to all that made this bulletin a reality, the people behind the scenes, our producers, our directors, our camera people, our editors, our reporters, and everyone who made this a reality. Thank you so much. I wish you a good night full of God's blessings. Thank you, sir.